Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports locally and nationally. Join the conversation on our social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome back for another edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What is going on, everybody? My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, you know him. He is the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
And joining us is the other co-host. You know him as your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy.
What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing?
Man, I am doing it very well. I know I'm a little hyped up, talking a little outside of sports, but because we are on the sports show, I'm a little hyped up for some more sports. I know I sound a little confusing because this week is a big week. San Diego Comic-Con is kicking off.
Yeah.
The NBA is doing their exhibition. Major League Baseball is slowly starting back up this week, too. And
Premier Lacrosse League starts this week.
And there was some no, we won't talk about pro wrestling to the end of the show. If you just want to hear about all the sports we're going to talk about, though, definitely stay tuned for this episode of the ODPH and join in the conversation on social media. You can find all our links on OchoDuroParlayHour.com. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode, and always remember to use the hashtag ODPH. Like I said, it is a big week, a lot of energy going into this one, and we are going to kick off talking about the NBA. Exhibition games are starting this week. So far, everything we have read coming out of the Disney bubble has been, that's so weird to say.
Depends on where you read it from, because if you're reading it from actual, writers, it's kind of boring. But if you're reading NBA bubble on Twitter, you're having a grand old time.
NBA bubble talk on Twitter is amazing.
Well, hey, we got to give them a little tip of the cap. News came out yesterday that out of the 300-something, almost 400-something C19 tests, they conducted 0 came back positive.
Yes.
So tip of the cap to them. Congratulations.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, that's
some players were a little skeptical about, going and reporting right away because there was potential, like Russell Westbrook held back and wasn't on the team flight. So, to have all 300 players test negatively, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
That means that they obviously handled their medical very well.
Yeah.
And that's what they needed to do. I mean, first and foremost, as any sports league is restarting in the COVID-19 era, safety of your athletes and your employees come first. That should be the first primary objective to accomplish.
Well, and especially you look at the NBA, it's specific. Baseball is starting back up. Baseball never even really got started.
Right.
I would say NBA and hockey are kind of the most interesting ones to look at from the perspective of they were in the middle of their season and they had to come to a hard stop, which none of those players are really used to having to do. And then, and it's not like end of a season and then you kind of ease off of things and you ease back into things. No, this was just like a hard stop and you got to ramp back right back up again.
Well, that documentary that aired on TNT on Thursday or Tuesday, was it? Anyway, it's on demand. Look it up. It was pretty compelling stuff when you talk about what happened. I mean, they really broke down that night that the NBA stopped. Basically halted.
I think most sports fans remember that vividly. I got done washing dishes, got the notification on my phone that they were stopping the season. I go, wait, what?
Yeah, I was literally scrolling through, going to TNT to check out basketball, and all of a sudden they were like, breaking news, games are delayed and nothing's going on. I'm like, what is going on? I mean, it was literally out of Space Jam. Like that's how it felt.
Now that you put it that way.
No, it was the craziest 94 minutes in recent memory of when all this news was breaking from what happened with Utah and Oklahoma City that night. And to hear about Rudy Gobert's positive test and how the league took immediate action, did the right thing, stopped everything, and started going into, okay, how are we going to react to this, and then make the decision for the safety of their players and their employees, which I have to applaud Adam Silver for everything he's done thus far.
Yeah, I mean, as far as handling everything, I think the NBA has probably been the most transparent and most honest with everything.
Yeah.
And we've talked, previously about how I'm not a huge fan of them extending the season into, the next season and, only bringing in select teams that were 4 games out or whatever. I mean, obviously the Knicks are sitting at home, which is a huge bummer.
Aren't they doing something with the other teams?
There's talks of them doing something in Chicago, but I mean, with this one starting up now, it'd be kind of difficult, I think, for them to get anything going there.
Yeah.
It will be nice to have basketball back. It will be nice to see these guys finish out A lot of teams are coming together. They're looking good. So, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be exciting to have basketball back.
There's a lot of players that, might have had a little bit of wear and tear on them.
Exactly.
At this point, by the time the playoffs came, but you got a lot of good players who got like 4 months off.
I mean, you're gonna see a LeBron who literally probably hasn't taken any time off in his career between Olympics, championship runs, the following season. Obviously maybe taking off a game here or there, but you're talking about a LeBron James who is now coming in fresh.
Yeah. So maybe what was it, last year he didn't make the playoffs with the Lakers?
Yeah, but
maybe last year.
Right, but a little bit last year, but still, I mean, that's coming off of the previous year where they went to the, NBA finals or had that run. Yeah, and so, I mean, he obviously has mileage on him that, even just missing the playoffs isn't enough. I mean, this is 4 months of literally not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
And for so many teams, for their players to get this much rest, it's almost like a bittersweet blessing. Like it's I know it sounds weird to say, and I'm sure the players would rather have not had the time off. But if there's going to be anything to look forward to, it's what we've just said. The fact that certain players like LeBron, who have had a lot of mileage in their NBA careers, now have some extended rest, so they'll be a lot more fresher going into the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
We are looking at arguably one of the more exciting playoff series that we're going to have in recent memory.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's messed up to say, and like I say, at least to me, how I'm saying this is coming weird.
Yeah, no, it is
to hear, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And it's going to be absolutely wild to see as we have exhibition games kicking off this Wednesday as we're recording.
Yep.
And then we go right into next week, and we go into the regular season.
Yeah, it's a brief regular season. I mean, so it's not quite like an Olympic style, like pool play and then into, medal and seeding and everything. This is going to be just like a restart of the regular season and then into playoffs from there.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So what we're going to be talking about is, obviously next week we'll kind of give you our official eye test to see how everybody's looking coming out of exhibition. We're not expecting a lot this week.
No.
It's just going to be a lot of emotions.
It's definitely going to be, you'll see a few teams trying to gear up a little bit just because, you got to get, these are top physical athletes that you got, who immediately stopped and had nothing going on that they need to ramp back up. So I think you're going to see, some teams maybe start slow early, but then those last couple preseason games, almost like an NFL preseason, really try and ramp it up a little bit.
Yeah, so we're going to be breaking down our early predictions here, going by each conference. So, Pad, why don't we break down the East first? Let's see who's invited to the dance at Disney.
Yeah, so looking at the Eastern Conference, you have, in the first place, you have the Milwaukee Bucks with a record of 53-12. Second place, you have the Toronto Raptors with a record of 46-18. Third is the Boston Celtics with a record of 43-21. Fourth is the Miami Heat with a record of 41-24. Next is the Indiana Pacers with a record of 39-26. And then you have the Philadelphia 76ers with the exact same record. And then you have the Brooklyn Nets with a record of 30-34. Orlando comes in after that with a record of 30-35. And then rounding out the Eastern Conference, you have the Washington Wizards in there with 24-40 as their record.
And we have to make note, Milwaukee, Toronto, Boston, Miami, Indiana, and Philly have clinched their playoffs berths.
Right.
So they're seeding. They're already locked in no matter what happens during the restart of the NBA season. So Brooklyn, Orlando, and Washington are fighting for playoff berths officially.
And Brooklyn has no KD, no Kyrie, and no Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
So they are decimated, and they had a couple other injuries too.
So you're saying decimated. So you're saying Washington has a chance.
Not really either though, because Bradley Beal and John Wall aren't playing in Washington either. So that's a tough break for both teams.
And I've said it before. I'll say it again. I understand, if you're within 4 games of whatever spot it was, but the Washington Wizards are fucking 24-40.
I'm sorry. Listen, I don't want to get going on a tangent because it's just. But there's no reason why the Knicks shouldn't have been here. There's no reason why that they were excluded, other than the 4-game out rule. Because that 4-game out rule, I don't want to put any any hats on the conspiracy of the NBA just wanting to get Zion Williamson down there so he can be featured on national TV. But I'm also not going to say that it's wrong.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
No, you bring up a point that I know a lot of people are starting to buy into a little more hype about.
Maybe.
Which you have to take a look at the Eastern Conference, and obviously this is not a very strong conference. We've already discussed it. Just put it mildly.
No, when your 7th place team is below 500.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, and the Eastern Conference has been bad. This is, I mean, obviously, I know there's the few years with the Heat, and the Celtics and those runs, but it's historically the last 25 years has been putrid.
Yeah, so we know that the teams invited here, we're going to be really interested to see how they shape up and who gets to the finals. You would think Giannis and the Bucks are an odds-on favorite.
I'd say so.
I mean, I feel like it's theirs to lose. Toronto is a weird team because they really just, however Siakam plays, really tells you how far they're going to go. And I mean, Fred VanVleet was really coming on strong towards right before the coronavirus hit. So Toronto is definitely in the mix, but I mean, between the two of them, I mean, Boston is good and they have all the potential in the world, but with Gordon Hayward potentially going to be leaving, the bubble for the birth of his daughter, that will hurt depth. And I don't like their team as much as I like Toronto and I like Milwaukee.
Oh, so yeah, this is Milwaukee and Toronto's conference to lose. Like, it's either going to be Milwaukee or Toronto in the NBA Finals. Boston, like Coach said, they might be able to make a run, but it's just you don't know what you're going to get out of them. And nothing against any Miami, Indiana, Philly, Brooklyn, Orlando, or Washington fans, but they just don't strike fear into me like Milwaukee and Toronto do. Yeah, they might make some noise. Yeah, they might cause a few, speed bumps for the other teams in the conference to test them and give them a few scratches and some bruises along the way. But at the end of the day, I don't see the process making it to the NBA Finals.
It's possible they could, but I agree with you. I think between Milwaukee and Toronto, it's their finals to lose. And I think ultimately you're going to have one of those two teams come out to win the Eastern Conference. Toronto, who honestly would have thought they would have gotten this far after Kawhi Leonard leaving?
I thought they would have been good. Maybe not second place in the Eastern Conference good.
Right.
But I figured they would have contended.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought that there was going to be a little bit of regression just because, I mean, Lowry's a year older. Gasol's not, the same Marc Gasol that he was a year ago.
Yeah.
Siakam's obviously a rising star, in the NBA. And Ibaka, is only... I don't want to say borrowed time, but he's definitely an aging veteran, compared to where he was when Toronto first got him. So, yeah, I definitely did not see them taking this big of a step the following year, and especially being second place. I thought Boston would have been a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
This season.
Well, especially with Toronto, when you look at teams in the past who have lost a player of Kawhi's caliber,
right?
It's usually a step backwards, if not many step backwards.
Oh, yeah, it's multiple steps usually.
But in their case, it's honestly, same place, maybe half a step back.
I think the thing that we are not taking, maybe people don't think about is, I mean, he was on, the time. He was on those rest days and stuff, and Toronto still played well without him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those X Factor days that when he did play, and obviously in the playoffs and the championship games, he was just that X Factor that they didn't have before. They still were the best team in the East without him.
That's true.
Playing 40% of the 40% of the games last year.
That's true.
I don't. To me, Giannis, obviously in a shortened season, because that's the other thing you got to take into effect is the fact that everything's shortened and abbreviated. So I think Giannis, having a full head of steam and being able to get going. My sleeper team in this, though, and the team that I wouldn't necessarily want to see in a 7-game series is Miami.
Yeah.
Because
Jimmy Butler.
Exactly. I mean,
Jimmy Butler has been keeping people up with practicing in his hotel room.
Yeah, I mean, he's not necessarily the playoff killer that, you see some other guys can be, but I definitely think that this Miami team's young and athletic and they play fast, that if they get going in the open court, they might be able to scare some teams, push them to a 7-game series. And I would not want to see Jimmy Butler in a 7-game series.
Well,
or I should say I wouldn't want to see Jimmy Butler in a game 7 just because he does, when you get him in that set, he does have that killer instinct.
Well, let's face it, this Miami team, like you said, he's young and they're playing with house money. They got nothing to lose.
Exactly. That too.
I think outside of anyone who is a Miami Heat fan or living in the South Florida who's a Miami fan, ain't nobody thinking they're going to go anywhere. You know, obviously Heat fans are probably sitting there. Some of them might have, tempered expectations, like, we ain't too good. But then you've got the diehards are like, we're going all the way. We're going to win it all. But outside of that, we're not sitting here saying, you know what, they're going to go all the way.
No, Miami is one of the biggest sleeper teams in this division, in my opinion, in the conference. They could turn it on because if Jimmy Butler can get his teammates on board with his mentality, they could be downright scary.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Hero, too, a hot hand that if he gets shooting the ball well, obviously can definitely put some points up. But it's tough, though, when you look at the matchups and then you just talk about the star factor that is Giannis. That's why it's like, in this thing, like favoring LeBron and favoring Giannis and favoring Kawhi is kind of the easy thing to do because everything's abbreviated. So once they get to the playoffs, it's like, the stars are going to shine. So it's not like something's going to be all of a sudden like, shooken up. And, it's not like the NHL. Like the NHL with their 3-game or the 5-game intro series to even make it to the quote-unquote playoff. I mean, that's tantalizing. That's exciting because it's like, oh man, if the Rangers lose to the Hurricane, it's toast. It's done. Like this introduction for the NBA, we're gonna have a few regular season games. We're gonna get these guys' feet wet. We're gonna see these star players really be able to elevate because of the fact that they're gonna be rested and ready to go. So it's gonna be basically theirs to lose. So that's why I say Milwaukee, Toronto, and I mean, Boston's got the pieces. I didn't like what they were doing prior to the end, of the NBA regular season. So I don't like them here in this abbreviated, shortened season either.
Well, and plus the thing, getting back to Miami, the thing that's going to work out for them, no matter what the outcome is here, they're going to be battle tested. They're going to go through some wars. They're going to go through some tough fights that is going to benefit them down the road.
Yeah, they'll be a growing team, and obviously, like I said, with Jimmy Butler leading that team, you have to say they're going to be in every series they're going to be scheduled for. With Philly, they could be an X factor too, but with Ben Simmons not learning a jump shot in this time period, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what you can say about him.
And I mean, the thing with Philly is too, like, I mean, obviously the Embiid Simmons, rivalry or disagreements or whatever you want to call it, chemistry is going to be the biggest factor in this abbreviated season because teams that are able to come together the quickest and refine that vibe and that connection that they had prior to COVID, those type of teams are going to be able to really click early. Like, I mean, I've been watching some of the Major League Lacrosse games that have started, and the teams that are dominating right now are the teams that have been together the longest because they already have that that syncness. They have already got that chemistry going. So these teams that have chemistry issues in this abbreviated season, I think are going to have issues here because you're just not going to connect right away because you got to get spots together. You got to get timing down again. So I think that's going to become a huge issue.
Well, and it's also a thing where you might have a disagreement with the guy on the court that in normal circumstances, all right, if you don't like him,
you go home.
You go home and it gets squashed. You got a couple of weeks to work it out and it'll move on. This isn't, you ain't got the time. Like, whatever issues you might have with the guy because he didn't see you in the corner posted up, like, ready to shoot a 3, let it go.
Yeah, now you're going to the next hotel room and I'm going to blast music at 2 a.m. just to piss you off.
Or order everything off of room service.
It could get absolutely wild depending on how the playoffs shape up for some teams. Philly is one that you got to really watch for. Miami is another one.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If Philly connects and all of a sudden they start playing really well, I mean, their regular season record speaks for itself. I mean, that's why I mean, it's not just because Jimmy Butler left that this team isn't good. Right. There is chemistry issues there that are creating this, barely above 500 record for them, So, but again, all of a sudden they start clicking, they start getting it going. They definitely are a dangerous team.
Yeah.
So that being said, who are we taking out of the East?
Milwaukee.
Yeah, same thing. Like Kawhi. Like I saw a photo yesterday. I think it was on Twitter of like Kawhi's just physical frame the last 4 years. And if you really look at the last 4 years, good God, that he's a man possessed, and I don't think there's going to be anything to stop him from getting to the finals.
Yeah, I think this is Giannis' year too. I wouldn't doubt Toronto pulling up a freak upset.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in a 7-game series.
Yeah, it's going 7.
Yeah, I mean, Siakam and Giannis is an awesome matchup. Yeah. That is something that will definitely be must-watch TV.
Yeah.
I just, I'm just going to hedge on the star player, and lean towards Giannis.
Yeah, you have to. And obviously, if Toronto does pull off the upset, it will add more fuel to the fire that Giannis is leaving for New York. We'll already start that gas can.
Not even going.
Are we repeating Zion from a couple
Not
years
even
ago?
discussing that. At this point, it's just so ridiculous.
We're going to get Zion. We're going to get KD.
You never know. He might go form with LeBron and the Lakers.
Hey, if they hire Jason Kidd, I will, that conspiracy theory I will start, kindling on and start sparking. But if they don't hire Jason Kidd, Giannis is not coming.
Well, that's going to be the question they're going to have to answer in the offseason, but we can't forget about the Western Conference. No. So, Pat, why don't we break down who made it to the dance at Disney?
Yep. So these teams have clinched their playoff spots. In first place, you have the Los Angeles Lakers. Second place, you have the LA Clippers. Third is the Denver Nuggets. Fourth is the Utah Jazz. Fifth is the Oklahoma City Thunder. And in sixth place is the Houston Rockets. After that, these are the list of teams who have yet to really clinch a playoff spot, but they're still fighting for it. You have the Dallas Mavericks, Memphis Grizzlies, Portland Trail Blazers, New Orleans Pelicans, Sacramento Kings, San Antonio Spurs, and the Phoenix Suns.
Coach, your thoughts?
This is, again, I really like the Lakers in this because you're going to have a rested LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
They've added pieces by adding J.R. Smith, Deion Waiters, although, has had peaks and valleys, has shown that when he is focused and dialed in, which I think LeBron will be able to do because he does do that with his teammates, can be a dangerous player. So potentially off the bench, that's something. They did lose, Avery Bradley, which hurts because he was kind of the defensive plug on that team, at least as far as the backcourt goes. But, that just leads more towards Rajon Rondo playing, which from the workouts and the videos we've seen, Rajon Rondo looks fantastic. Yeah. Probably the healthiest he's been the last 4 years. So that's something to take into effect. Obviously, the Clippers have to scare you because Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Patrick Beverley, dangerous threesome there that, defensively in a shortened abbreviated season with playoffs, defense wins championships, and that's what they preach there. So that's going to be scary. And, I know we'll talk sleepers, but I know that I threw, the conspiracy theory out, but I kind of like New Orleans in this. I like their shooting. J.J. Redick, a veteran on that team. Zion Williamson. They're young, they're athletic, they're clicking. Their post on social media has definitely been a team that's loose. Mm-hmm. And the same thing as what we were talking about with Miami. They're playing with house money.
Yeah, I like the addition of J.R. Smith to the Lakers. I also saw there was a video put out of what the court looks like, the main court they're going to be using for this. There is absolutely no way J.R. Smith should not know what the score is or how much time is left. There's got to be 10 scoreboards on, because there's no stands. There's 10 scoreboards on this court, so there's no way J.R. should forget how much time is left, what possession it is, or what the score is. So that being said, the Lakers are going to be scary because, like we said, LeBron's going to have 4 months rest. Same with Anthony Davis. You look at adding J.R. Smith, they're just looking absolutely freakish. But at the same time, I'm real interested to see what it's going to look, because you got to figure at the end of the day they might end up going against the Clippers in the conference finals. You know what? I'm real interested to see that matchup when they're rested up.
The Battle of L.A. is what I think we're ultimately going to get, but I have to read off something. I posted this on the ODPH Instagram, and it was Charles Barkley saying a wild quote, as they have him.
Wait, Charles Barkley? Wild quote? That never happens. That never happens.
If the Portland Trail Blazers get in the playoffs, they will beat the Lakers in the first round. That is what he said. The picture is up here.
Portland just came up in my mind before you read that. I don't hate Portland in this. Melo obviously looks right now that he's in shape. It's just my problem with Portland is I just don't think defensively, because for as much grief as you give LeBron and everything, he does bunker down on defense.
Oh, hell yeah.
And he takes a lot of pride in that. And Anthony Davis is a shot blocking king. So, offensively they have enough to get through, and defensively they'll stop you. I don't think Portland has enough offense for when when another team that has offense takes over. I don't think they have enough defense to stop them.
As we record, Portland averaging 13.6 points per game and giving up 115.3 points per game.
Yeah, I think if it comes down to the Lakers and Portland in the 1-8, LeBron will be on Damian Lillard all night.
Yeah.
And
Rajon Rondo can do it too.
Oh, yeah. But if Rondo is dialed in, see, that's the only question you have with him. If he's dialed in like he was with the Celtics, and remember that one loose ball that he went literally all the way down the court and was fighting for it, and this was the first possession of the game. I remember this because I was in the middle of a casino in Vegas watching this and blown away because everybody in the casino was like, oh my God, this guy is going crazy, showing that heart. If that guy shows up for the Lakers, yeah, that's going to be another piece that LeBron can utilize.
Well, the problem with Rondo is he hasn't been healthy. I mean, the thumb, the hamstring, the groins, he's always had that minor nick or knack that's been, kind of slowing him up a little bit. And he missed 15 games during the regular season because of the thumb.
Yeah.
So he might be healthy enough right now that you might actually get that. I mean, by God, the post that they had the other day with him shirtless, he looked like a 21-year-old Rajon Rondo again.
Yeah, no, he's definitely been getting in shape and he's been getting himself ready. So, like I say, if he's that motivated, that's another weapon for LeBron to use to get to the finals. And I could definitely see him having a breakout playoff run here. I could fully see it. But if he's not as motivated, like let's say hypothetically they go down 0-2 at the start of the series, are some players going to start dialing out? That's the question you got to kind of wonder. I don't think LeBron would let his teammates do that.
No.
I can't. Even J.R. Smith, he would. I think if there's any kind of miscommunication there, I think J.R. will be on the bench for a lot of that.
I think the problem is who are you 0-2 down? Because if you're 0-2 down to the Clippers, yeah, you're going to be eek, But if you're 0-2 down to Portland, yeah, you can definitely make a comeback in that series.
Right. No, that's my question would be if it's 1-8 and they're down to New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
Because I have New Orleans.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it's that, then no, LeBron will. Hey, listen, we got to hunker down. It's early. We'll get through this.
Yeah, that's why I say his veteran leadership will definitely do it. And like I say, with him having the extra rest,
that
I think is a big factor.
I don't think that people realize what that will do.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally a guy who has, after the regular season, played in 4 straight Olympics, been in the championship. 7 out of 10 years?
I think it was wasn't it 8 straight years?
Yeah, I mean, the dude, I mean, even Kobe Bryant had talked about just the mileage that puts on you going to the finals and then playing in the Olympics and then going right back into training camp. It adds up. So now you're talking about 4 months of not even being able to play, in your backyard. Besides maybe playing with his kids.
Right.
It's not like he's been having players over and running court, stuff in his backyard.
No.
It's been time off. You might been able to shoot up jump shots and stuff, but you're not playing pickup. So
No.
his load management is going to be 0.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Listen, I'm not the biggest NBA fan, and even I'm terrified of this because we've seen him at freakish moments where he's just he goes down the court and it's a chase down block, and we don't know where the heck he came out of. He's going to be doing that every possession.
Like I said, it's going to be absolutely bananas to see how he's going to go completely off in this playoff run. If he did not have this rest, I would say the Clippers would run away with this.
I don't know if they would have ran away with it, but I mean, they definitely would have had the advantage because of the fact that load management with Kawhi would have definitely put them in a position that when the Western Conference Finals came up, that he would have been a little more rested than LeBron. And I mean, the Lakers did take a game, during that series during the regular season. So it's not like the Lakers can't beat, the Clips. It's just Kawhi rested is very, with the load management. I mean, they definitely steer him in the right way that he peaks when he needs to peak, and that's the playoffs.
Yeah, so that's why I think though he's going to have a really big playoff run. If they don't wind up getting to the finals, they're going to definitely be in the Western Conference Finals.
Sure. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think I think it's just the Battle of LA. It's just those two teams are so above the rest of the Western Division. That's saying a lot.
Right. And again, with the abbreviated season, I would agree. I would, if I was an LA fan, I'd be pissed because you could have had the opportunity to go to, if this goes to a 7-game series, going to all 7. And now you're not going to be able to do any of that.
No, absolutely. So, looking at the rest of the Western Conference, though, you never know if you're going to have a sleeper team sneak in there. I think Houston you have to watch out for. I'd like to see how this relationship between Westbrook and James Harden has been working out.
Yeah,
surprised.
I like
surprised.
Houston. I do. I mean, D'Antoni has got this team playing well with the small ball and everything. It's just the problem is that with this abbreviated season and everything that. Teams that Anthony Davis is going to be tough to match up with. LeBron's going to be tough to match up with. And when you're throwing out PJ Tucker as your center, unless they're shooting the ball and they're shooting a clip of 45% or higher from the floor, I just don't see them being able to get past these other teams.
I think in a normal season, the Rockets would have had a chance to possibly, not saying they would have, but possibly get past the Clippers or the Lakers if this were a regular season. It's not.
Yeah.
You've got, like Coach said, you've got LeBron on full rest. You've got Anthony Davis on full rest. And on the flip side for the Clippers, you've got, Boardman on full rest. You've got Paul George on full rest. You've got, and let's face it, LA Clippers, very good defensively. I just don't think there's any. And yeah, okay, Westbrook and Harden got the same amount of rest as the other guys do. But when it comes to the size and the strength and the speed of the Lakers and the Clippers, I just don't think they can match up.
No, I fully agree. So let's close it out. Who we got coming out of the West?
Lakers.
I have to say Lakers, too. In 7 games against the Clippers, and then you're going to have the dream matchup, Milwaukee and the Lakers. Mm-hmm. And then who goes out with that one?
I'm going to say Lakers.
I'm going to say Lakers.
I want to say Milwaukee just to be different, but I can't do it.
I can't.
I can't. I mean, if I'm proven wrong, I'm proven wrong, but I think the extra rest is going to help LeBron so much that it's tough to say if this is going to be his last run.
I think, the other X factor is Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Because he has, LeBron has his 1A. Giannis does not have that. I mean, as good as, the Bucks roster is, it's just not as good as the Lakers.
Right. Like, it almost would remind me of when Allen Iverson went up against the Lakers.
Oh, God. No.
It's
not that bad. I mean, he's still got he's got Lopez. He's got the brothers. Both Lopez's play there. Kyle Korver shooting threes. Middleton's there. I mean,
Eric Bledsoe.
Leslie
Matthews.
Yeah, so I mean, he's got pieces. It's not like Iverson when he showed up to the gym and he's like, you can sit the bench. Dikembe, you're not playing tonight? Great. All right. Eric Snow, I'm stuck with you. Let's ride. It's not that bad.
But it's going to be in a similar vein, though.
That's
what I think.
Chris Middleton was an all-star this year. Let's not forget.
Yeah, like I said,
all victors.
He does, but if you want to go against Anthony Davis and LeBron.
Right, right. I mean, if you want to compare it to more of like an NBA Finals, I would say it's more like when the Nets played San Antonio. When the Nets had, Jason Kidd playing at his ultimate peak, and he had pieces, Kenyon Martin, Kerry Kittles, but they were young.
Yeah.
They were young and up and coming. And even though Middleton is, 28 right now, LeBron's got, he's got Anthony Davis, who's a top 5 NBA player right now, and he's got J.R. Smith, who can, when he gets hot, can shoot the ball from anywhere. A young Kyle Kuzma, who's, if he's engaged, is playing lights out. Just depends on what Kyle you're going to get there, and then. Yeah, Giannis is Giannis, and he's going to do his thing, but ultimately his limitations of his game will hurt him more than what LeBron will be able to do on the court.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think with the extra rest, like I said, I can't repeat how much of an X factor that's going to be.
Stress it enough.
Yeah,
stress that more.
Yeah, this is LeBron's year to lose.
Just imagine you are a top-level athlete, and you are playing, professional wrestlers talk about this. They wrestle 350 out of 365 days a year. And you talk to the guys that are part-timers, and, oh, God, my body feels tremendous, only working 50 dates instead of 350.
Yeah.
You talk to LeBron about playing literally 350 game or, over 100 games a year between all the stuff that he's doing, and now 4 months off of doing nothing besides working out and shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Melo's in the best shape of his life.
Yeah.
That's why you see thin Melo right now, because he didn't have to keep the extra weight on to be able to continue an 82-game season of banging bodies. Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a Melo similar to that run with the Knicks, where he was, an MVP candidate. Now, I mean, obviously age, Father Time has caught up to him a little bit, so you're not going to be seeing exactly that. I'm just saying you're going to be seeing a Melo similar to that, where he will be able to take over a game if necessary, just not at the same level.
It's going to be really interesting to watch the storylines coming out of this, but the fact we're getting the NBA back, exhibition is kicking off this week. Games officially start next Thursday, the 30th, I believe.
Yep.
And then we go, a week into the games, and then we go into playoffs. It's going to be one of the wildest times in sports. The NBA is setting a great example of how to come back from COVID. Hopefully, everybody stays healthy and they don't have to do another shutdown. We're wishing them nothing but the best, and it'd be great to have sports back on the TV. So let us know what you think, though. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. The NBA returns. Who you got going to the finals and who's bringing home the chip? We definitely want to have the conversation. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Need a podcast that prepares you for the end of the world? aPODalypse Now is the one for you. Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, actor, comedian, and filmmaker. aPODalypse Now is a podcast that asks if we are living at the beginning of the end. Join me every week as I talk with interesting people and decide if we're all doomed. Listen wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Brought to you by WannaRub.
Hey, this is Brian Wolf from Fair City Fire. You are listening to ODPH, the greatest podcast in Binghamton.
Woo!
Hot lips touching, cool thighs breathing, shawty running up, her spine spinning, long day to a long night, but I'm not stopping till I get it right.
Coming back for segment number 2 on this edition of the ODPH podcast. And if we're talking baseball, I have to hand the reins over to Pad. So
Yeah.
take it away.
Yeah, so of course, as everyone knows, baseball is getting ready to start this Thursday with 2 sets of games, and then everybody else kicks it off on Friday. And if you know me, you know I am excited. Also ready to get some normal baseball games underway because God knows these exhibition games have been real bonkers.
Yeah.
Yankees were playing an exhibition game against the Phillies last night, and they got third out. Yes Network, which is of course the television network here in the tri-state area that carries Yankee games, went to commercial, came back, and Aaron Judge was circling the bases, and I'm going, wait, the hell just happened? Because they are this far into the year and pitchers aren't where they should be, they've been trying to stretch out pitchers and get them to a certain pitch count and this and that. And Velasquez, I believe, was the gentleman's last name who was pitching for the Phillies, wasn't at his pitch count. And so Aaron Boone looked at Joe Girardi, who was managing the Phillies, which, that was Joe Girardi's triumphant return to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, that's kind of surreal seeing.
That was weird. They had a quick discussion, and they figured, why don't we let him face one more batter, get the necessary pitches. And so it made more sense to do that than have him sit down, get back up, after however long, and go back in. And Judge promptly got in there and smacked a home run over center field. So Judge hit a home run with 3 outs. It's weird. I'm ready for regular games.
Baseball.
Yeah, baseball, exhibition baseball. It's bizarre. But getting into some of the rule changes that are going to be taking place this season and presumably in the seasons going forward. First one I'm going to mention is one that I know I and Ken have been wanting to see for God knows how many years.
The DH.
Universal designated hitter. No longer will pitchers be hitting in the National League, which thank God they have no reason to be hitting. I know purists and old school baseball fans will be lambasting me for that, but last year National League pitchers hit 131.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, that's not good. That's real bad. That's like a guaranteed out. There's no reason for that. So with the universal DH, obviously we'll see a bump in scoring. It'll be real interesting to see, how that factors in. No more double switch. Like I know the National League was very prone to doing so. Real interested to see how that goes.
I mean, as a non-baseball guy, with pitchers not hitting, I don't need to see it.
No,
I would much rather see a guy go up there and have the potential to hit it, 350 than, a guy take 3 cracks at it. I mean, what was that one pitcher that literally just went through the motions? Was it like somebody on the Dodgers? I remember
something like that.
Yeah, it was brutal.
The one I just always remember is when Jabba Chamberlain was pitching for the Yankees, and they were going to, I want to say Pittsburgh or something like that. And it was his first time that it was a chance that he was going to be able to hit in the majors. And somebody asked him, are you excited to finally take some swings in the majors? And he said something to the effect of, not really, because I haven't swung at a baseball that wasn't in batting practice since high school.
I always just remember seeing pitchers in the National League wearing their jackets while they were going up to bat. And that's how serious they took it. So for me, if you want to be competitive and you want to keep up with demonstrating a good example for your sport, have somebody up there that's actually going to care instead of somebody that's sitting there laughing and taking a half-ass swing just to say they did it. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And so if they're going to make this rule change, I know this was discussed pre-COVID, and now it's obviously going to take more into effect.
Yep.
Long overdue.
Long overdue, and especially I know Yankees fans like kind of myself remember when Houston was still in the National League. And the Yankees went to play them, and Shin-Ming Wong, the then Yankees ace, broke his foot rounding second base and was out for the year. Like, there's no reason for pitchers to be hitting, but moving on. Another rule that they've implemented for this year is extra innings will start with a runner on second base. This is done in effort to get players off the field more quickly with C19 going on, and obviously so we don't have 18, 19, 20-plus inning extra games. This rule has been in effect in the minor leagues the last 2 years. According to ESPN Stats and Information, minor league games that went into the 10th inning ended 73% of the time with this rule in place, and within 2 extra innings, they ended 93% of the time. And just to compare, prior to the rule getting implemented, it was 49% ended in the 10th inning, and then 74% ended in the 2 extra innings. So they were going real long.
Coach, what is your take on this for overtime rules?
I mean, it makes it tough because it's like, with baseball, you obviously both teams need to have the opportunity to bat. So it's like a sudden death thing doesn't really work. But, those innings where you're like, the games are going like 19, 20, 21 innings, and all of a sudden you're bringing in a relief pitcher that, technically was the emergency third baseman.
Yeah.
That's rough too. So, I mean, anything to help speed up the game is a win.
Yeah, and just some stats for Major League Baseball. Last year, they had 208 games out of their 2,429. So that's 9%, went into extra innings. Of those extra inning games, 44% ended in 10 innings, 72% ended within 2 extra innings, and 28% went to 12 or more innings. Oh. It's a long night.
But, I mean, you can't have ties either. So, that's the tough part. I mean, because at the end of the day, when you in a normal circumstance, when you have 162 games, maybe a tie doesn't affect things as much.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably would though from a standing standpoint. But when you're talking an abbreviated season, ties really things up. So you really have to get rid of them.
Well, and especially they're playing 60 games in 67 days.
Yeah.
So I was one of the writers for the Yankees I followed the other day tweeted out the weather forecast for Washington because they're opening the season in Washington. Washington forecast, at least as of yesterday, was calling for thunderstorms. It's gonna you don't have time for suspended games because it's late. And rain delays when you have, it's not a case of, we're playing 162 games in a 4 or 5 month stretch, whatever it is. Oh, there's plenty of days off in between. We'll just find one that works for the two of you and we'll just play it later. No. You ain't got time for this. And I had an idea the other day. I think in instances like with the weather and all that, they got to be, since you're not dealing with fans and you're not dealing with, hey, I've got a ticket to this date on this game. You got to be real open to moving these games if the need arises, where you have a situation where you're looking at, they're going to play a 2-3 game set in, let's just say Milwaukee's getting ready to play a 2-3 game set in Chicago. And they're calling for thunderstorms all 3 days. And it's 100% guarantee they're calling for thunderstorms. They should, if they're not, they should be real open to hey, let's move these 3 games to Milwaukee where they have an indoor stadium, just so that way we know we'll get these games in.
That's going to be a very big challenge for them to do, because especially on the shortened season, because obviously with everything going on with C19, this is the plan they've come up with after all the bickering about money that we're finally getting to the game. Yeah. So they really don't have any more room for error. So they need to get going on this season.
Yep. Another rule they have implemented for this year is pitchers will now have to face a 3-batter minimum. This rule was implemented before C19. But pitchers will face either a minimum of 3 batters or complete a half inning. So this is done to kind of quicken the pace and kind of take away I forget what the term is, but the utility pitchers, where I know Yankees had them a lot with David Ortiz. They bring bring in a guy
for
lefty
specialist,
specialist, bring in a guy for 1 batter and you're out of there. So gone are those days.
Yeah, it makes sense too.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. For me, that's part of the chess. As being a guy who coaches stuff, the chess matchups are kind of fun. So seeing, a guy who, an Ortiz come up and all of a sudden you have a reliever that, he's 1 of 47 against, and it's but then, the rest of the Red Sox lineup, is batting 700 off of him. You're all right, I know you're going to strike out Ortiz, but I don't want you touching these other 2 guys.
Yep.
But now what are the Red Sox going to do? Because if it's the bottom of the ninth and they're
Yep.
down 2 runs and all of
Yep.
a sudden there's runners on with 2 outs, you bring this guy out to pitch to Ortiz. What are the Red Sox going to do to counter that? Are they going to trust their guy, or are they going to switch hit too? So that's kind of like a chess piece thing that's kind of fun. But, I guess when you talk
Yeah.
about speeding up the game, it makes
Yep.
sense to get rid of.
Yep. One of the other things they've changed this year is they will have a 60-man roster / taxi squad. Now,
Good God.
Well, this is for this year. I don't see this
Yeah,
going
they can't
forward.
go for it.
So before its first game, each team will announce a 30-man roster, which will be cut down to 28 players after 2 weeks, then 26 after 4 weeks. The remaining players who had been part of the team's original 60-man pool will be sent to an alternate site for workouts and training. This, I think, is done in large part to... I know they were talking about this on the Yankees broadcast the other day, where pitchers aren't stretched out like they normally are. So, in terms of the Yankees, they were saying they might carry more pitchers than batters, just because in a normal season by this point, you would expect, your Clayton Kershaws, your Verlanders, your Garrett Coles to be able to go 9 innings. But let's face it, they might not be able to.
Yeah.
So you might need to carry some extra pitchers. So that'll be real interesting to see. Also, teams will be able to carry up to 3 taxi squad players on the road. So replacements will be readily available in case of an illness or injury. If a team carries 3 players on its taxi squad, 1 player must be a catcher. Stays on the injured list will be for a minimum of 10 days for both pitchers and hitters, and the 60-day injured list will be reduced to 45 days.
Well, I was going to say you can't go 60 days. There's 60 games.
I mean, part of the expanded roster obviously just makes sense with
Yeah.
the fact that you're playing, so many games in so little time. So that just is common sense. I mean, if somebody
Right.
gets hurt, you want to be able to,
Right.
especially without the minor leagues,
Yeah.
you want to be able to have somebody on reserve so you can get them up. So that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense that they're cutting them down. You'll get
As
you'll
time
get
goes
stretched
on.
out.
Yeah, sure.
No, yeah. And then in terms of health and safety, team personnel and players will not likely to participate in game. For example, you got Garrett Cole's going to open Yankees' first game, so I believe James Paxton is their believed to be their number 2 starter. So James Paxton will sit in the stands or another designated area of the club at least 6 feet apart. Teams have erected tents and similar coverings in the stands to create makeshift dugouts for this purpose. So that's really
Interesting.
I know I saw that when the Yankees were playing the Phillies last night, where some of the players who weren't playing, pitchers and what have you, were sitting in the stands. And one of the baseball writers was, somebody might want to check their tickets in a joking manner. So that makes sense. Non-playing personnel will wear masks in the dugout and bullpen at all times. Celebratory contact, aka high fives, fist bumping, and hugs is prohibited. You did see.
I saw the foot thing.
Yeah, I was saying that the Cleveland Indians are doing a bit of this they won their exhibition game the other night, and they were all doing like a little foot tap. It's like, hey, congratulations.
I think here my problem with the mask thing is like it's got to be enforced because I'm watching while we're recording. There's an MLL game, right now, and the coaches. I mean, I don't know if maybe it's a thing so they can make sure that the player is understanding what they're saying by being able to see their lips too. But I mean, you got guys that are pulling down their masks to target the players, and it's like,
You're defeating the purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it just that frustrates me because if you're going, and it's just like in the world right now, if you're going to wear a mask, wear the goddamn mask.
Yeah.
Don't pull it down so your nose is exposed or whatever. Wear the freaking thing.
Yeah. Spitting is prohibited, so there will be no sunflower seeds or chewing tobacco.
That's not cool.
Although gum is permitted.
Well, then I'm spitting that thing out.
Yeah.
Watch me.
Pitchers will be permitted to carry a small wet rag in their back pocket so that they can be used for moisture rather than licking their fingers. Hygienically, that's a good idea anyway.
Yeah.
Nah, dude. It's something about, like, I mean, you see, even basketball players, there's just something about that saliva that helps get a little more sticky.
I'll say, I know the other thing I know that it's not in this article I'm reading from ESPN.com, but when you go to do a pitching change, I know the tradition is like, you hand the ball to the manager, and you do none of that. They take the ball with them, and they get a brand new ball that has not been touched by that other player. And then prohibitions against unsportsmanlike conduct will be strictly enforced to support physical distancing between individuals on the playing field. So disputes with umpires or between members of opposing teams must be conducted at a distance of at least 6 feet. Thank God Lou Piniella is not managing, because that would not be able to
that
happen.
would never happen with Lou.
No. Violators will be subject to immediate ejection and further discipline. The other thing I was thinking of when I was watching the Yankee game the other day, you can hear a pin drop in that stadium since there's no fans in attendance. And I know they're talking about putting artificial crowd sounds in the stadiums, but players on the bench are going to have to be real careful what they say, because the umpire will hear it clear as day.
Yeah, that's going to be another challenge they're going to have to worry about. I think Brett Gardner was, if my memory serves me right, was trying to test that a little bit.
Yeah, Savage is in the box.
Yeah.
Yep. So jumping into looking at this year, we got the American League East. I think it's going to end up being the Yankees. Like, Boston obviously has traded away a lot of their good players. David Price is gone. Mookie Betts is gone. I think the Yankees are the odds-on favorite to win this one.
Coach, you got any feelings?
I mean, yeah. Who else, an abbreviated season with the Yankees pitching that they have, with the hitting that they have, come on.
Yeah, you just look, and especially the way the Yankees have been playing, the couple of exhibition games they had where they had, 5 home runs against the Mets the other night?
Yeah,
something crazy like
absurd.
That. Yeah, no, it's theirs to lose.
It should be theirs to lose. Boston is in it's always weird saying they're in a rebuilding phase, but this is one year they're not expected to go very far, even with the shortened season.
No.
You take a look at Toronto; they're having issues of where they're going to even play this season.
Yeah, that's a curveball thrown their way.
Yeah, it's definitely a curveball. Baltimore, they have no pitching, so until they get that, they're going to be very irrelevant. Sorry to all our Orioles fans to listen, because I know there's a bunch.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, who knows?
The one thing working out in their favor is they've got a deep farm system that isn't playing right now. So with a 60-game season and needing a lot of backup players at a lot of positions, they're the ones that are going to play out real good with this.
Yeah, they could be a wild card contender. I fully believe that. Because, like I say, they are typically known for building through their farm system. They don't get any big free agents usually in Tampa, so they could surprise some teams. But this is the Yankees to lose, in my opinion. If they all stay healthy, and as of right now they are, except for Tanaka, who's recovering from the concussion.
And then last I knew, Chapman had tested positive for C19 at least a week or two ago.
Yeah,
so should be coming back relatively soon, assuming all of the tests come back negative. And my God, that man is ripped.
Yeah, he's just been working on off season. He looks absolutely frightening.
It's a little. Yeah, if you're not familiar, look up a photo. It's scary.
Yeah.
Switching to the American League Central, the Yankees won the American League East last year. Switching to the American League Central, the Minnesota Twins won that last year. I don't see why they won't repeat it. They hit a monster number of home runs. I think they broke the single season record. Don't think they lost anybody huge. So I think it's the Minnesota Twins to lose, but I also think Chicago's going to give them more of a run than they did last year.
Coach, you have any feelings on this?
Yes.
And?
I don't know anything about those teams, so I'm going to say, yeah, sure. I know Chicago's young, right? They've
they got Tim Anderson, I believe, is the guy's name. Bat flip last year.
I know Detroit's been terrible for a long few years, so they're definitely not going to do anything. Kansas City obviously has always been, since that one run, kind of been the bottom barrel team. So
they had that one run, and then their 3 kind of key players all left. So it's kind of been last year they finished 59 and 103. So.
That's not good.
No,
that's not good. No. So I'm going to go with Minnesota because they sound hot right now.
So they scored almost 1,000 runs last year.
Whoa, that's a lot of fucking runs.
Yeah, they hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah, but their stadium is very home run friendly, if memory serves me right. Their new one, not the Metrodome.
Well, what are you going to do with
the Metrodome?
I don't.
Now there's going to be no crowd noise to stop the ball. There's going to be no airflow, so that thing's just going to fly right out of there.
Yeah,
that's science.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with the Cleveland Indians. Actually, I'll take the upset.
Right.
I think Minnesota is going to contend, but I don't know. I think a short season might help Cleveland more than it hurts them. They've always been known to pull something real crazy out during years they're not expected to do well, so I'm going to go with Cleveland on this one.
Yeah, switching to the American League West, last year the Houston Asterisks won the division last year. I don't see any reason they're not going to repeat. They haven't lost anything. They, no players have left. They still got everybody there from last year's team that made it to the World Series. I think the Angels will make a better run than they did last year, especially with Shohei Ohtani there for the full year and not out for what was it, half or 3/4 of the season? So I think the Angels will make more of a run, but this is Astros' division to lose.
Coach, you have any feelings?
Yes.
Yes, he does. Fuck the Astros.
Yes.
That I can agree on that.
I know you're not the biggest baseball guy, but I'm just going to still throw you the mic if you have any.
Sure. Fuck Houston. I hope that their season is abysmal. I hope they go 0 for 60. I hope that teams run it up on them. However you can do that in baseball. I hope they peg. I hope their team leads the league in getting pegged.
I think
things.
They will. I think
I honestly, God, I hope, and I don't hope any players get injured from it, but I hope that every single player gets dinged at least once this year.
That's probably a safe bet. I know they played an exhibition game today against the Royals. They got hit 3 times.
Awesome. Yeah. I hope they were on purpose.
Jury's out on that one.
Okay.
Who knows? But that's the one thing we're losing out on. Houston's playing in all stadiums with no crowd, so we can't boo them incessantly.
Oh, just wait till they get a crowd back, whenever that day is.
Elephants, don't forget.
Oh, trust me. If you're a baseball tradition...
Oh, no,
rich,
they're due.
Yeah.
They're due. They'll get theirs.
That's what I said. You go to stadiums and teams that have a fan base that remembers, tradition rich, such as the Yankees, such as the Dodgers. Trust me.
I'll say, how many years after was it when not Ortiz, Pedro Martinez said the "Who's your daddy" comment?
Oh yeah,
when he was there with the Phillies like 5 years later.
Yeah,
and the Yankee fans are chanting "Who's your daddy" to him.
Oh yeah, trust me, they will definitely get a very quote unquote warm reception to certain cities when they go play them. For me, I'm gonna go take L.A.
Okay.
Ohtani and Mike Trout. I mean, that's all you need. Let alone they got Rendon from Washington.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
So they have all the potential in the world, and like I say, if you got the reigning MVP, at least in my opinion, is Mike Trout. So you got him on your team. Anything is possible.
You're looking real good.
Yeah.
Switching over to the National League in the East, the Atlanta Braves won it last year, a record of 97-65. I don't see there's any reason why they shouldn't repeat. They're looking real good. Haven't really lost anything in terms of pitching or hitting. Look real good. Obviously, the Nationals won the World Series. They came out of nowhere. So we'll see if they're, played a lot more games than they have in the past, though. So, it is definitely a thing for a lot of pitchers and players who, you go that long stretch in the playoffs that you're not really used to, and then you come back and you got to come back and pitch another season. But this isn't a normal season. They've had X number of months to really kind of take a layoff and not really do a whole lot. So I still think it's going to be the Braves, though.
Going against the Braves, or you're going to take another team in the East there?
I know it's not the Mets because they are bad.
Yeah.
I'll go with the Braves.
I do partially root for the Mets, though, just because I want to see their new manager do well because he coached down here in Binghamton, Luis Rojas. So good luck to you, sir.
The one question you got to ask about the Mets is...
Who are the Mets?
Well, what are the Mets?
Exactly.
And if it's a short season, they are always plagued by injuries early. Will they have that plague hit them now?
Yeah.
Jury is still out.
Well, and I know just watching the couple games the other day, they played against the Yankees. Looking at those lineups, who the hell are you guys?
Yeah.
I know they've got Cespedes back, but Cespedes hasn't played a full season in 2 years.
Yeah, so, anything is completely possible. I want to take Atlanta. I really do. But I'm going to say in a complete upset, I'm taking Philly.
Oh, all right.
I'll take Philly, Bryce Harper and company. I'll take a wild shot with that one.
Because Joe Girardi, first year in a new stadium. You look at history.
Yeah, he'll definitely get fired up. You might see... The real question with that team is going to be, how does Harper react to Girardi?
True.
That is the storyline of that team. Because Girardi will not take any nonsense.
No.
And, for no clown questions... I'm just saying that could be a ticking time bomb in that dugout.
Yeah.
So for that reason alone, I'm going to root for them. The Nationals, let's face it, they came off a great year last year. Can they repeat and do it again?
Who's to say?
Especially that they re-signed all their pitchers that they were going to be worried about losing. They did let Rendon go.
Yep.
So what do you know where you're going to get? Because anytime a team wins the World Series, look what happens.
Yeah.
So that being said, I don't know how they're going to match up. Atlanta should do well on paper, but then again, it's on paper. And then, as we always say, who is Atlanta?
What is Atlanta?
So that being said, I'm going to take the Phillies in the surprise.
Yeah. The next one is the National League Central, and to me, this is the most wide open of all the divisions because it's Christ Almighty, who knows? Last year, the St. Louis Cardinals won the division, and looking at this year, this is literally gave me like a 5-sided die or so, however many 6-sided die. And I'm gonna roll a die and see who wins. But put me on the spot. I'm gonna go with the Reds. Reds look like they got some good pitching. Their hitting's not all that bad. Scored 701 runs last year. I think it's gonna be their time to shine.
Coach, any feelings?
I'll cheer for the Reds.
Gotta love Cincy.
They've had some hard times.
Yeah.
It's been a while since they've been relevant, so that will be fun. The Bengals are going to be bad.
Gorgeous ballpark.
Yeah, great looking ballpark, full of beautiful things, rich mahogany. So I'm going to go with the Reds.
Just because we have a very loyal listener by the name of Adam Pachano who chimes in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to take Christian Yelich and the Milwaukee Brewers.
So he's going to say you cursed him now.
Probably. So I'll definitely be hearing it on social media at OD Parlay Hour on Twitter. But this one, like Pat touched upon, this is wide open for any team to take.
Has been like the last 6 years.
Yeah, so I'm not expecting anything out of this division, to be honest with you. So, like I said, with all bets off, why not the Brewers? Mm-hmm. They're due.
Yeah. Next, you have the National League West, which the LA Dodgers won last year. 106-56 was their record. Listen, man, if the Dodgers are going to win it, this is their year. Like, if they don't win it this year, that team is getting blown the you-know-what up, and everybody outside of maybe Clayton Kershaw is going to be gone.
Coach, Dodgers are bust.
Dodgers, that's the only way to ride in that division.
Yeah, I have to agree. Cody Bellinger, your NL MVP, enough said. I mean, plus you have Clayton Kershaw. Even if he's at 50%, because usually he has injury troubles this time of year.
Yeah.
San Diego did a thing, though, right? This offseason?
Yeah, I mean, San Diego could make a move. Like I say, the team.
I know what's going on.
Yeah,
I know. I'm in it. I got it.
Baseball expertise.
They did a thing. They signed a guy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about them is they have a deep farm system. Obviously, they got Manny Machado. So if Manny gives, 0.5% carrying, then they might actually have a chance.
Don't forget
they paid him a half of a dump truck of money.
Yeah.
So.
Well, don't forget they got Fernando Tatis Jr. at short.
Yeah, I mean,
good.
They have some potential to make a run. Like, I wouldn't doubt them getting the wild card.
Dude, Fernando Tatis' son is playing baseball now.
Yeah.
Yes.
My God, I'm so old.
Yeah, no, and then what is it? Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, I know Vlad Guerrero. Yeah, but Vlad was like almost retiring as I was like growing up. So like that's okay. But like Fernando Tatis was like I was 18 when he was playing.
Yeah, he's a shortstop with San Diego.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like they have, like I say, they have a lot of potential.
It's scary.
Can they pull it off? I don't think they take the Dodgers, but like I say, could they get wild card? Absolutely. I think that they could, but it depends if Machado cares. If he doesn't care, then they're going to suck.
It's like Machado, notorious for not running out to first base.
Yeah, he certain games.
It's a far way away. You don't want to pull that hammy.
Yeah, that's true.
90 feet of terror.
Yeah, I mean that's how many guys have the old story like sprinting out for first for no reason, and all of a sudden they tear their hamstring.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe Manny Machado's on next level.
Yeah, could be.
Quite possible.
Yeah. No, and then in terms of World Series, because I think it's just easy to skip to that. I think it's going to end up being the Yankees and Dodgers old school World Series matchup.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
I haven't had one of those in a while.
You know what? Let's just make it happen.
I agree.
Baseball. Let's just rig it.
You've
done it before.
Yeah.
I think it's possible to have those two teams wind up there fully. I mean, the Yankees and Dodgers are clearly the most stacked teams in their respective divisions. If they all stay healthy, there's no reason they shouldn't get there.
No.
There could be a surprise, though, in one of the wild cards. Like I say, Tampa Bay could get hot at the right time. San Diego proved me wrong, but, I don't think you're going to be
San
the team
Diego,
to do it.
you prove whatever you need to prove.
Yeah, because
you do what you want.
Exactly.
Don't let Ken talk to you that way.
Oh, I will, because I'll challenge them too. Because
okay.
I want to see them actually do something.
I'm going to speak on behalf of the organization, and challenge accepted.
Okay, we'll definitely have to see when it kicks off. But I'm telling you this: baseball. Now that all the drama's gone, we're finally going to get some games. Maybe we'll start getting some stuff back on track with the league, and see where we go from here. I mean, that's the thing. We're starting out. This is not as clear-cut safe-wise as hockey and basketball has been.
Right.
There's still
it's going to be very interesting with travel and logistics.
Because I think one thing that we have to watch with them is, like you touched upon, the travel logistics. Because whatever they're doing, and God forbid, you see players start getting sick with COVID, well, I think this is going to have a profound effect on what the NFL is going to do.
I think the thing they've got going for them is, I forget the exact statistic, but a couple of weeks ago it came out, they had a batch of testing, and it was like 1% or something like that. It was a very low number, came back positive, and there hasn't really been anything since that, like, oh, hey, they've tested, like a huge number have tested positive. So everything seems to be going smoothly so far.
I think here's the other concern, too. I mean, that needs to be talked about. It's not. It's politics. We've got New York, the Yankees, and the Mets. We've got two, and now Toronto will be playing in Buffalo.
Well,
Is that that's rumored?
Yeah,
Rumored. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
they're not playing in Canada.
No, they're definitely
So-
not playing in Canada, but there was some talk they're not even going to play in Buffalo. They're going to go somewhere else.
Okay,
so
well,
outside the state. So just
well,
to
wherever
clarify.
they go, though, I mean, there's 2 teams, period, right now in New York. There are travel restrictions.
Right. It all depends on what leniency they're given by the state.
Yeah,
And-
that will be interesting because, again, that will also be a reflection on what they do with football.
Yeah. 'cause-
Well, my guess is they're going to be real selective with who goes. Obviously, the players will go, the coaches will go.
Sure.
I think in terms of other staff, you'll have one trainer go. I think any excess people that you might have normally go on the trip won't go. I do know for broadcasting, the broadcasters will not go because
Right.
even when the Yankees were playing the Mets in Citi Field the other day, the Yankees broadcasting team was in New York, in the Bronx, at Yankee Stadium, calling the game from Yankee Stadium.
Right.
So when the Yankees go to play Atlanta, down in Atlanta, Michael Kay and whoever's doing the game with him, Paul O'Neill, David Cohn, won't be in Atlanta. They'll be in Yankee Stadium calling the game from that's in Atlanta.
yeah.
So that's because they've even got the broadcasters separated into separate booths. You know, I know they've been doing post game interviews via like Skype or Zoom call. That like you've got them sitting in front of a computer answering questions while all the writers are like in on the same call. So they're doing some stuff, but like you said, time will tell.
Yeah, that's going to be the big question mark for them is now that, okay, your season is up and running, you're going to try traveling. As Coach touched upon, there is travel restrictions in New York State.
Right, so it's not everywhere, but
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it
not
will,
everywhere, but just to clarify.
it will directly affect, I would think, New York stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So any New York sports team is going to be tremendously impacted by this. So
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to see get written into law about this. I mean, is it going to be something where Florida was deeming certain sport organizations as essential and that was allowed to go? I mean, we don't know. This is a lot of area that has yet to be defined.
Yeah, I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of it is we don't know.
My guess is the teams will, when they travel, won't be allowed to leave the hotel rooms. That if they do, they'll be subject to a fine or something.
Yeah,
That would
I
make
would
the most
think
logical sense.
That would be the only thing that would make sense, and I think probably teams that travel here, upon their immediate arrival, would be tested.
Yeah.
You'd have to.
Yeah.
You'd have to test them before and after leaving, too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's going to be a very unique process for teams to come play in New York. Mm-hmm. And especially if they're traveling in and out of the state, if that is giving, allowance.
You know, I mean, I wasn't certainly trying to make it a political. I mean,
no, no.
This is something that's facing New York. You know,
And especially because if we have listeners obviously all over the world, if you're not familiar with what is going on in New York State right now with COVID, there is a travel ban. If you are in 23 other states at least and international,
more than that. Now there's only 14 states that are not on the list.
Yeah, it goes up every day.
Yeah.
So due to that, just to clarify that point, the New York State has given a list of states that can travel to and from New York, and certain
It's
ones that
basically
can't.
the Northeast.
Yeah, no, he's right on the money with that. So going into a professional league, who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the big X factor going into this season because whatever they do, like I say, the NFL is going to be watching very closely.
Yeah.
Facts.
And whatever happens with baseball is going to tremendously impact the NFL. Yeah, I know obviously you're saying, okay, it's two different sports. Yes and no. Yes, it is two different sports, but no, it's not two different businesses.
My guess, and this is just a guess, they might do something similar to what the NFL is talking about, where with the NFL they're talking about leaving like day of or
Right.
something and getting. My guess is baseball will do something similar where Yankees, let's just say, are going to Boston. They might leave New York and at a timely fashion and get to Boston in time for whatever they're going to do, pregame, batting practice, fielding, whatever. Like they go fly to Boston, land in Boston, immediately go to the stadium, play the game, immediately go to the hotel. Like no dilly-dally, no go checking out downtown Boston or some of your favorite eateries. From the stadium to the hotel, and then play your next set of games and however many games it ends up being. And after you're done with that last game, immediately out.
Well, I think but that's also the difference between the NBA and the NHL, where they're doing hubs.
Right.
Yeah.
This
Right.
is,
Right.
you are traveling on the road, so the NFL and the MLB will be able to try, the NFL in particular will be able to piggyback on what they see MLB do
Yep.
because
Yep.
it'll be the logistical same, idea.
There's so many question marks going into the season, but we are going to have baseball. That's one fact that we definitely can say. For how long? It all depends on how everybody stays healthy and how this season is progressing forward with all the new normal.
Yeah.
I hate saying that term, but
Yeah.
it's the truth, though. With all the new normal restrictions going on in the world, baseball is definitely back. once all the drama has now finally been pushed aside, we're excited. Nobody's more excited than Padawan J.
No.
So definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH, and let's talk about some baseball. Who's your predictions to go win the Cup this year? We definitely want to know. I know Pat and I and Coach are all in agreement it's going to be the New York Yankees.
Uh-huh.
But
Yes.
if you have a differing opinion, we definitely want to have that conversation. So hit us up. Let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
If you're into all things comics, you have to check out Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC, your go-to podcast for comic and superhero discussion, debates, polls, and more. Tune in as Regular Scott and Ozzy Killmonger chat about your favorite comic topics, and you never know who may show up for an open mic or what will be next on their favorite One Gotta Go. Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC, every Sunday, powered by the Defy Light Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Mike C. from Horror Zone 607, and you're listening to the ODPH, the most killer podcast on the planet.
Coming back for the third segment on this edition of the ODPH, and it's time to run the ropes. We're going to talk some pro wrestling.
Wrestling.
Because this weekend, there was some good, there was some bad, and there was some what the hell am I watching?
Because the name of one of them can honestly be used to describe what we saw.
And that is?
A horror show at Extreme Rules. Because I'd say for a lot of people, they'd say it was a horror show.
Quite literally.
Oh, we definitely have to agree. But we have to say the good, though. I know I caught it. Rich from 3FN caught it. A couple of our listeners were chiming in about it, and that was Impact's Slammiversary pay-per-view.
So I got to admit, did not watch it, but I did see some of the reactions online. Seemed to be mostly positive.
Oh, yeah, very positive. Impact Wrestling always does great pay-per-views. They somehow wind up pulling it off. Their weekly show, you can hit or miss, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They had a lot of former WWE stars that have now just signed with the company.
The Good Brothers.
Yes, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson.
Good
Heath
tag team
Slater.
name for them.
Oh, yeah. And you had EC3 returning. In what capacity, we don't know.
Well, that them signing him was like the least surprising news. Out of everyone getting released from WWE, and like, oh, they could go here, they could go. Like, I know we were talking a bunch of names. I was like, yeah, no, we know where EC3 is going.
Well, he was.
Yeah, he was flirting with ROH. So
he was flirting with ROH, and he was flirting with AEW too.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably the right spot for him because they book him really well there. And I mean, from his vignettes, he looks like $1 million right now.
Yeah, he's definitely proving he can get over without a big hype production. Like, it's been very low key stuff he's doing.
Well, Dean Ambrose had set the precedent for that. So.
Yeah.
So definitely Impact had a great show. So coming off that high, we go into WWE's Extreme Rules / horror show. Sunday night. Yes, it was something, so we're going to be reviewing the card, giving you our opinion on it. So, Pat, why don't you kick it off? We are talking spoilers, so you have been forewarned.
Yeah, let's face it, if you haven't watched it, you can probably skip it.
You can probably say thank you for breaking it down for you so you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, so open the show, you had Kevin Owens defeat Buddy Murphy.
Thoughts on that, Coach?
I mean, more of the storyline of Kevin Owens versus the Monday Night Messiah group. So, I mean, a decent matchup, but yeah, not pushing the needle.
Thankfully, I missed most of this because, like I said, I don't know if I said this on air, but I know I told you off air, I had no intentions of watching this pay-per-view. I ended up watching it, but it wasn't until you got to the Sasha Banks-Asuka match, so I didn't see this, but the fact that I didn't see anything kind of reacting from it online kind of told me all I needed to know was it was nothing special.
No, this one was a good opener, though. Buddy Murphy is one of the most underrated wrestlers on the roster. I know without Paul Heyman at the helm of Monday Night Raw, he's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit.
Well, partially that, and then I think partially also just because of whatever plans they might have had for that group keep getting thrown up in the air. You know, obviously AOP going down with injury again, and just it always seems to be a start and stop for that group.
Yeah, but Murphy versus Kevin Owens was a great opener. Kevin Owens returning after he took a little time off from WWE. It was a great match. So yeah. I definitely thought it was a solid opener to kick off the show.
After that, you had a tag team matchup for the WWE for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship between Big E and Kofi Kingston, who are defending against Cesaro and Nakamura. And you have an new with Cesaro and Nakamura pinning Big E and Kofi Kingston.
Thoughts on this, Coach?
Yeah, I guess my frustration just comes from Cesaro just being plugged in with, you know, former mid-card champions and then just being stuck in a tag team for kind of no rhyme or reason. I mean, I know they had the whole story with Sami Zayn at first, but still it was like kind of a random pairing. I kind of would have thought once Sheamus came back, they would have I like the Bar. I mean, they worked really well together.
Yeah.
You know, but obviously plans change. So
Yeah.
I just getting the titles off of New Day just for them to probably win it in another 6 months.
No, yeah, I fully expect New Day to get the titles back at some point, but I like the prospect of Cesaro and Nakamura being tag team champions. Both are very good wrestlers. We know that. You know, I can kind of get my hopes up that they're going to do something with this, but Christ knows we know Cesaro's track record, and this is nothing against him. This is just the way that he's been booked. You give him a couple inches, and then you yank him back a couple miles. But as we've said in the past, one of the things lacking, at least with SmackDown and maybe Raw to a certain extent too, is tag teams. I'll be honest with you, outside of the New Day, I cannot name one other tag team that is on SmackDown. And giving Cesaro and Nakamura the tag team belts, I feel like is a good opportunity to build up the main, SmackDown and Raw's tag team division, because let's face it, they might get moved over to Raw at some point.
A couple of thoughts from this match. One, I really didn't have a problem taking the belts off the New Day if it leads to them finally doing a split, which has been ruined. I'm sorry. I think Big E Langston should have a push on his own. Long overdue, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I still think you can keep them in New Day and still push Big E. But
Maybe once Xavier comes back.
Or even what I was even thinking they should do is do a trade with Raw and NXT and split up the New Day that way, so you have a member on each show.
I just don't need to see one of them turn heel on each other just because their run has been so long that like a heel turn almost seems obvious. So like just a natural breakup or something like that would be better.
Maybe.
Yeah, it would be. The finish to this match, though, was excellent, which Cesaro giving Kofi a power bomb from the top rope through 2 tables on the floor.
Ow.
It was impressive.
Ow.
So, and that's how they won the belts, because it was a tables match. Perfectly fine with that. And like Pat was touching upon too, Cesaro has never really gotten a fair shake of a singles push since he's been WWE. I know he was U.S. champion a while ago, but honestly, who remembers that unless you're a diehard?
I actually kind of forgot about that.
So did I.
Yeah, so unless you're a diehard wrestling fan, you don't remember that. Shinsuke Nakamura obviously has had some success, but not what we all think he should have had to. So if you're going to pair them together, that's fine. But I'm also fearing that this is a setup for heavy machinery to take the belts, because they're all very big on Otis right now, no pun intended. So have to wait and see about that, but I was happy to see Cesaro and Nakamura get the belts. In fact, talking about Sheamus, he actually tweeted out congratulations to Cesaro during the match. So it's definitely a little fun moment there.
Yeah. After that, you had the matchup for the SmackDown Women's Championship with Bayley defending her belt against Nikki Cross.
Coach?
I don't know what they're doing with this Bayley storyline, because obviously we'll get into the Sasha stuff later on. So everything felt like it was inevitably going to be Bayley versus Sasha. And now I don't know what the hell is going to happen, so it's tough. SmackDown just hurts from having a lack of depth in the women's division that are actual contenders. So that's a problem. But I mean, obviously Nikki Cross probably a solid hand, good in the ring, fun to match up with, and Bayley's heel run right now is very good. So
yeah, it's hard to tell what they're doing this is, because I think everybody has been kind of waiting for this inevitable split up of those two and to face each other. And we'll get to it in a minute, but I think they might be setting up for something a little bit bigger, because given what happened with the Sasha Banks match and then what happened on Monday Night Raw last night, you had Bayley tweet out today directly at Steph McMahon is done for with like 4 exclamation points. So she's directly calling out Steph, and then I should add there's like 4 red angry face emojis.
Yeah.
I feel like they're setting up for something maybe a little bit more before they get to the inevitable Sasha Bayley match.
Well, what happened at the end of Raw, during Raw, was a result of what happened with the Sasha match. So I'll get into that a little later. But for this match, my takeaways was, one, this was Nikki Cross's best match on the main roster.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down. Bayley getting the win, not really too surprised at, because they're just dragging a slow drag to SummerSlam, this storyline. Like, they're just taking so many baby steps with this.
Yeah.
That, honestly, I'm losing interest in this storyline.
Well, you can definitely tell that they were going to pull the trigger a little earlier with this split up. But then, obviously COVID hit, Becky left, and then shit hit the fan.
Yeah, and then I think Charlotte,
and then Charlotte took a time off. So
I'll say, they had like 3 or 4 storylines that they had set for SummerSlam get like tossed out the window.
The only thing that I thought was very interesting and a surprise is they ran a little vignette last night on Monday Night Raw as we're recording with Shayna Baszler watching Bayley.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if they're planning on moving her to SmackDown.
That might make sense.
Yeah, which if they do that, I'm okay with. But overall, like this match was a fun match. It was Nikki Cross's, like I said, her best match. Albeit though those the weird Asuka, Kairi Sane, Alexa Bliss, Nikki talking before the match.
Yeah.
And it was like a pep talk, and then Kairi was like, "Well, if you lose, we're still friends." Like it was just like this weird moment. So
yeah.
I don't know if they're going to try building something in there before Kairi leaves the company.
Supposedly, if you read the rumors, last night was her last show.
Right.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Supposedly, according to the rumor sheets, the episode they aired last night was her last show, so she gone. Which is sad to see. But hey, she's leaving to go be with her husband over in Japan. Which hey, kudos to you.
Yeah, and I think they were kind of making her an ambassador to the company over there. So hey,
she's leaving in good graces. So if she ever wants to come back, they'll take her back in a heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely.
Going on to the next match, you had Seth Rollins defeat Rey Mysterio in an eye for an eye match.
Coach,
I'm so glad I missed this.
I mean, you would think like the matchup would be exciting. This story's been so bad.
On paper, it's a good matchup.
Right. And I mean, the Monday Night Messiah character is just, it has steered right from where I thought it was going to go.
I think you're right, but I think this is kind of like with Drew McIntyre and all that. It needs a crowd. Right. This would work, I think, to a certain degree if there were a crowd that wasn't your own people that like you had there in the crowd. Like if this was in an arena with fans and not paid employees, it would work better.
I think that's a fair statement. And obviously, like you touched upon earlier, AOP getting hurt kind of changed some things up, so it kind of hurt the original probably game plan of this.
Yeah.
You would have thought Seth would be, as the top heel, would be, pushing Drew McIntyre, in matches, but whatever. What can you say about this? I mean, an eye for an eye, kayfabe, not kayfabe, is wrestling real, is it not real? And all of a sudden now you want us to suspend disbelief thinking that a human person's going to rip another eye out. It's one thing to make us pretend like we didn't watch vehicular manslaughter, but to try and make us stop disbelief that somebody's actually going to rip out another person's eye. Like, that's too gimmicky for me.
Wait, you mean JR really didn't get lit on fire all those years ago?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to touch upon the end of the night match with Braun and Bray, and it's like, all right, that one, like, I can believe and suspend disbelief because, like, it's already a cinematic match. So I've already got that acceptance in my head, but like you got these guys going against in the squared circle, and now you're going to try and tell me that another dude's going to rip another guy's eye that wears a mask too. Nonetheless, weak.
I was really trying to wrap my head around how they were going to do this because I had 2 fears about this. Like one, they were going to do the ending, which you lost this match if you lost your eye. That's how it was wrestling, folks. I thought they were either going to do some real cheesy CGI.
Right, which is what they were talking about.
Was rumored.
Or they were going to do a prop like Rowan's spider.
Oh, yeah.
And do something really over the top. And I was going to see, I wasn't even sure where they're going after that. This match was good until the ending, and the ending was seeing Rey Mysterio having a fake eye in his hand.
And it's not even a good fake.
Yeah, no.
I didn't watch the match, but I've seen the photo. It's not even a good one.
No, it's not a good fake. So I don't know how they want to put it.
You couldn't call up Greg Nicotero from Walking Dead and be like, "Hey, can you send us a prop of a fake eye?" Because that would have been pretty convincing.
Or with all the editing and time that you could have had to do this, to gimmick it up.
Yeah,
you had time.
Yeah, I mean, Seth Rollins didn't gimmick when he puked. Outside the ring, which was
that was
I mean, So this whole match, like I said. Good match. Ending was that was something.
Yeah,
that's all I could say. I keep saying on social media. That was something.
Yeah.
On to the next match.
You had the matchup for the Raw Women's Title with Asuka defending her belt against Sasha Banks, and this is the point where I tuned in. And Sasha Banks defeated Asuka. And, I should say, on paper, great matchup. Most of this match, great matchup. Ending, hot garbage.
Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think that to continue, to continue the Sasha Bayley thing would have been one thing, but then you put the title on, Sasha in this controversial fashion of, them helping each other, which was weird. Asuka just started taking off. She's probably been the best thing during COVID Raw era that we've had, most entertaining. And, you take the title away from her, which, will probably lead to her not being on TV as much. So it's like, I don't know. The matchup and the match was fine. I liked it. But, yeah, I don't get why taking the title off of her makes sense here.
No.
It didn't make a lot of sense, and I know they were trying to explain, well, Bayley put on the ref's
right,
shirt.
I get that.
And it was like, I think what they were trying to do, and I know this is going to sound weird, I think they were trying to say that was Bayley's way of preventing Sasha from winning. Because then the next night, Sasha came out with Bayley. They had everybody's belt. Asuka and Kairi Sane came out. And Stephanie McMahon, that's when she showed up on the video screen.
Okay.
Well, and that's because that was one thing I know I was discussing with you, I think, earlier that day before the episode had aired, because I was like, how the hell are they going to fix this? Because to me, Bayley wasn't an actual referee. I'm sorry, throwing on a referee shirt doesn't automatically get you to call the match. Like, how the hell are they going to fix this? Because there are no general managers, there are no commissioners, like they had the last couple of years. There's not even a figure group like the Authority. It's kind of like the inmates are running the asylum. I'm like, so how the hell are they going to fix this?
Yeah, so Steph came on the Titantron and said, Asuka, you didn't win, but neither did you, Sasha. So next week it's going to be you two, and the stipulation is if Asuka or if Sasha gets counted out, disqualified, Bayley does anything, Sasha loses the match.
So Sasha doesn't get the champion's advantage.
Yeah, so there's no champion advantage. It was basically if Bayley does anything, Sasha loses the belt, Asuka wins. So I think that's where we're going to start seeing the final turning of the wheel to get this Bayley versus Sasha's ball rolling.
Sure.
Finally, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I say, I really want to be excited about this storyline, but they've been dragging their feet about this so much. It's like, like I say, it's just dragging, and it's just like it's stuck in quicksand. It's not going anywhere.
After that, you had a matchup for the WWE Championship with Drew McIntyre defending his belt against Dolph Ziggler in an Extreme Rules match, which we didn't know what the stipulations were until literally the last second. And I got to say, creative stipulations.
Yeah.
Oh, very creative, Coach.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting pick for the stipulation. I thought it was going to be maybe like a ladder match or whatever, but to, not let Drew, Drew couldn't do anything to get him disqualified or he would lose the title, I think is pretty clever.
The stipulations were like a mile long, and I'm trying to find.
Yeah.
Here we go. Extreme Rules stipulation only applied to Ziggler. McIntyre had to wrestle under normal singles match rules. Furthermore, had McIntyre got disqualified or counted out, Ziggler would have won the championship.
Yeah, it's pretty clever. I like it.
No,
different, refreshing.
Yeah, I was not looking forward to the matchup, but as soon as he said those stipulations, my ears perked up a little bit.
Yeah, the match still was good. The kick, the Claymore kick was, oh my God,
was savage.
I mean, Dolph. If there is one thing that you can't say Dolph is, a good bumper,
and
a good hand is one of them.
Yeah,
because he took that Claymore kick to the face.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought this was arguably match of the night.
Yeah,
that's by default.
Yeah, well, but anytime you have Dolph in there, like I say, he always says he's the show stealer, and it's fact.
Yeah,
he always gets in there. He always outshines everybody's in the ring with, and really did a good job putting McIntyre over.
Yeah.
And I believe now the stipulation is Dolph came out last night and challenged Drew. He said, whatever match you want to have, I want another shot. I had you beat, blah, blah, blah. And Drew said, okay. And I believe he said, well, the stipulations you had last night, well, it's going to be my turn to have those stipulations. So that's what they're setting up for. I think it's just going to be on Raw next week.
Yeah.
So that should be a fun one. Like I said, these two working together is pretty good. And then obviously whoever they're going to pair Drew with going into SummerSlam.
There's a rumor.
I'm fearing it's Randy Orton.
That's the rumor.
Which I'd be okay with, but the Randy Orton storyline after Edge left is
because rumor has it they were supposed to film because they filmed 2 episodes yesterday. One was the episode that aired, and then one was supposed to be for next week. Rumor has it that they were supposed to have filmed some sort of segment setting up for Orton versus Drew at SummerSlam, and just for whatever reason, it just didn't get done.
Whatever. I mean, Orton's heel right now. He's up there with Rollins, so
yeah,
it makes sense that that's the next step
for
his character.
Yeah. It'll be one of those two.
I know that the rumor was taking the title off of Drew and putting it on him, and I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to having Orton as a champion for a run. Maybe have a title match against Edge once that bicep or tricep heals up.
I mean, I wouldn't be either, but just right now with the way ratings are going, it's if they do it, it's clearly a ratings ploy.
Yeah. Well, I bet. I mean, that's not making me watch the show either.
No, but I get some of the articles I was seeing today said Vince doesn't care about the ratings. Bullshit. Vince cares about the ratings.
I think he cares, but I don't think he cares as much as the internet wants you to think he cares. Like, what I mean by this is SmackDown and Raw have both been under 2 million.
Yeah.
Past couple weeks.
Historic lows.
Yeah, which is historically low for them. In comparison to AEW, they're light years away.
Right.
I mean, the lowest Raw, I believe, was 1.8. AEW...
They ain't even cracking 1 million.
They haven't even cracked... They've barely cracked 800,000.
Yeah.
Well, but again, here's the thing. They don't... What does Vince give a shit about in today's market? Why does he give a shit about ratings?
Exactly.
All he needs to make sure is, hey, USA, how are you doing? Hey, Fox, how are you doing?
Exactly.
That's all he needs to care about.
And that's why I think he understands, too, there's no live crowd, so obviously that is affecting.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I understand the frustration.
Yeah.
That the shows haven't been good, and I'm sure he probably feels that in a way. Maybe he doesn't, I don't know. But, what can you do?
No, that's the thing. You have to make good on the situation you're in, and I think he's done a good job with it, love him or hate him. I think he's handled the situation probably as best as anybody in his position is going to handle it.
I mean, your top 2 guys are not with the company right now. I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, exactly. And he's making the best with who he has on the roster. I mean, as some moves really worked, like, the Jeff Hardy storyline, that's which I'm glad they took the match with him and Sheamus off the bar fight that was supposed to happen.
Oh, yeah.
I hope they forgot about it and it's in the garbage somewhere.
No, you're going to see it Friday on SmackDown. They're already advertising it.
See, and I think that's another thing they did, too, is they moved shows or matches off this card to build up hype for Raw. Like, that's why I originally thought that was what they did with Apollo Crews and MVP. But I guess Apollo Crews wasn't medically cleared to wrestle. I don't know if that was storyline or real. Either way, because he didn't wrestle on Monday night.
Right.
So I know they moved Randy Orton and the Big Show from Sunday to Monday. That was everything you would expect it to be.
Well, they gave like 45 minutes to the main event.
Yeah, which I turned off. I didn't even bother watching.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll talk about it then. Yeah, I saw it.
But, yeah, you can definitely break that down to close out the segment. We still have one more match to talk about on Extreme Rules, though.
Yeah, so that was the Braun Strowman against Bray Wyatt. No belt on the line for this one, but this one was another cinematic match. This was the Wyatt Swamp fight with Bray, I guess, winning? Hard to say. He drowned Braun, it looked like.
Coach.
R.I.P. cinematic matches.
Yeah.
You had a great run. I loved you. You were different in a time when we needed different. And you ran your course, and now we are here.
Yeah,
because it was bad.
Yeah, this was completely all over the place. I guess what they were trying to do was maybe I kept seeing online homages to Freddy vs. Jason, and I'm blanking on that movie. So that's what I kept seeing.
Okay.
From I know Pint of Comics, I think, posted something about that. I know East Coast Avengers was talking about that earlier.
Well, now that you mentioned it, it's still bad.
No, it's still bad, but it was just like, okay, I guess they were trying to do something with that. And I was really kind of blanking on it because obviously, like Coach touched upon, I think they have completely killed the cinematic match
buried it
for a while.
They buried it like
I'll say
Hunter used to do to all the other guys back in the day.
The one good thing, at least for me, with this matchup that I was like, oh shit, was maybe about halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, when Braun was walking on like the dock looking thing or whatever, and you heard Sister Abigail, and it's like, oh shit, are we actually going to see her? Pulls the veil back, and it was Alexa.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
That was like the one good thing that was like, okay, that was kind of cool.
That was a clever little thing, but still. I mean, but then even for that, though, they had to show you the mixed match challenges because if you didn't see that, you would have had no clue why she was his image of Sister Abigail.
Yeah. Like I say, there was a lot that you really had to be in tune to their storyline for to pay off.
The slam dunk story was Bray should have been like, I created you, I will destroy you. That should have been the slam dunk. That is the story here.
Yeah.
And instead it was all about coming home and the weird snake thing. And
Yeah.
The minions that
Well-
were supposed to look like Rowan and
Harper.
Harper. That was brutal.
Well, and then you had the random guy who got set on fire.
Out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
Just this random guy who, like, you can see his face, you can make out who he is, and I'm trying to figure out who the hell this guy is. And he gets set on fire. No, the thing for me that would have been a home run out of the park with this is I kept reading about the Jason thing, and I read a thing that was like, oh, there's an alligator featured in this, and there ended up being no goddamn alligator, which I thought would have been awesome if they could have gotten an alligator like nip at their heels or something. But the thing that I think would have made it a home run out of the park with me is I kept reading about Jason, and I'm like, all right. Admittedly, never seen any of the Jason movies because I can't sit through a horror movie. It scares the shit out of me. But knowing at least the premise of it, I'm like, okay, haven't seen The Fiend in a while. Maybe they're going to make it make it look like Bray died, quote unquote. Braun will go away in his pickup truck or whatever the hell he shows up in, and then you'll see something bubble out of the surface, and it's just maybe the tip of the eyes of the mask, or something like that. I'm like, that'd be awesome. Like, oh hey, he's not dead. Like much like Jason in all those movies, you think he's dead, but he's not. That you think that you think you killed Bray, but he's not.
Yeah, it was so weird. And like I say, I know some people that really liked it, and so it was really telling a story.
To each their own.
Yeah, I think it was JT from the ECAs that was talking about it, and he was like, it told a really good story, and just about him coming back to the Wyatt family, and I was just like, I don't know, like it didn't connect with me. I thought it was just so all over the place.
Yeah, it was. And
I think at one point I tweeted out too, like I thought I was watching the current run of X-Men because I thought they were on Kuroka because I'm seeing all the clones of if you understand comics, you understand the reference. But overall, though, is like, oh, this is just a bad way to end the card. Yeah. And it was bad. I don't know what they're going to do with Braun. Is he going to come back on SmackDown wearing the sheep mask again? Who knows? But overall, it started fairly good for the card. And then once you got into the gimmick matches, it just went completely off the tracks. Like it was just a mess. And then leading into Monday night, there was only a couple things that really jumped out. One, MVP's new faction, the Hurt Business of Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, MVP. And it's debatable who else is going to be in that. I know that there's a lot of people saying Ricochet, some saying Apollo Crews.
So I know people were throwing around a new Nation of Domination.
Yeah, which I'm all for this faction. Man, give it to me. And then we had the return of Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who did an insane dive through the ropes and like nearly went straight through the announce table. Like it was one of the cooler spots I've seen. And then we get to the main event, which they hyped the entire night.
Yeah.
So, Coach, I'm going to let you take this one.
I mean, just at this point in his career, Big Show is just not there to be putting on these kind of matches.
Well, I mean, he's even said that. He did an interview with somebody. I saw a headline the other day that like he knows at this point in his career he's an attraction.
Like, and if you want to tell the story and bring back the Legend Killer, of Randy Orton, this killer side of him, this match should have been bing, bang, boom, punt, and you're out.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it needed to be.
And like I get. They're building Randy to be this legend killer again, and he's taking out Edge and Christian and Big Show. But like, no disrespect to Big Show, but his name, at least for me, doesn't hold the same kind of gravity that, oh shit, Randy took out Edge, Randy took out Christian, and then you go, oh, he took out Big Show. Okay.
Well, Big Show has not been away from wrestling as long as Edge and Christian per se. Obviously, different reasons.
Right.
So for Big Show to be the next one taken out by the Legend Killer, it just didn't really have that effect because we know the Big Show comes and goes a lot.
Right. I think, and that I mean, the novelty of Big Show leaving really doesn't hold the same clout because it's like, all right, Edge was back, and you thought, oh, like Edge, I'm back, and then all of a sudden, this injury obviously hampered him, but the story of Orton is the reason for the injury, that's perfect. And then obviously Christian, hey, I'm cleared. I'm going to come back. And then all of a sudden it was just the punt. Now you're gone. Like that has like some weight to it. That has some like, oh, this is juice right here. But then Big Show comes and goes all the time.
Yes.
Him leaving is like, all right, bye, Big Show. Like, thanks for coming out.
It's like him going between being a face and a heel.
Mm-hmm. Changes with the wind.
The notorious
you can go through
face heel turn.
His lineage throughout his career of how he turns face and heel like at the drop of a dime. So for him to be the main event of Raw, like I understand they're really trying to push him. I know that has the Netflix show.
Yep.
I know he's politicking to become the new kingpin of the MCU.
They already have a good kingpin.
He's too old.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, I'm not buying that.
I mean, 15 years ago, him bald doing it. Yeah, but I mean,
but
not now.
He's not going anywhere near
Vincent
D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio.
But it just doesn't bear the same impact that it would have, like you touched upon, years ago.
Yeah.
And if he had actually stayed away for a long time, and this has been the first time we'd seen him in a while, and come back.
Yeah, like it would have been like, oh, Big Show's back, and then all of a sudden this match with Orton, and then the punt, and you're like, oh shit, Big Show was back, and now he's gone.
Yeah, like I say, the impact is gone, especially when you have him teaming up with the Viking Raiders and Street Profits.
Yeah,
for
he was all over the place. He was all over the place.
Yeah, so this one, it didn't really do anything to boost the ratings. I know I haven't seen the ratings come back yet, but for WWE, they had a bad weekend. I think that's easy to say.
Yeah.
They had some bright moments,
Sure.
but not enough to really say they won the weekend. Like I say, I think in comparison to Fight for the Fallen, Great American NXT,
it's so tough because they just Raw and SmackDown operate on such tight, stringent, strict eyes and ears that it's so easy to notice the falters.
Yeah.
And the faults and the chinks in the armor versus, everything else.
Yeah.
Like NXT has house money, because they're going against AEW, so you're just
doing whatever.
Yeah, you're just letting it go,
Yeah, so I think obviously it's a different factor to play in, and for looking at the big shows this weekend, like I said, Slammiversary won outright. I don't think anybody can question that. Great American Bash, even coming off the return show, they're setting up a lot of storylines, so they're going to be definitely doing a lot of big things coming down the road.
So they're teasing a historic announcement from William Regal this week?
Yeah, I'm curious what that's going to be. Maybe a NXT TakeOver announcement.
Maybe.
Unless they're going to say they have signed somebody to the roster, but I'm trying to think who's a big free agent that's out there right now.
Can't think of anything.
Yeah, I'm completely lost. So we'll have to keep tuned for Wednesday to see what they do on NXT, and definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. We gave you a lot to talk about pro wrestling, so hit us back and
forgot one thing: the year of Omega is coming, so don't forget that.
Please translate that to me, because I was going to skip that, because I don't understand it. Like,
it's the year of Omega, okay? Kenny Omega is going to be the biggest star in wrestling.
What year are we? Like, is he going back to New Japan?
No, AEW, Ken, come on. They built him down to build him up. Come on, now.
I want to see your water glass, because I think you're drinking some AEW Kool-Aid there. We will have to discuss this.
Biggest star in wrestling.
Oh,
if it is actually the year of Omega, I literally Googled the year of Omega. According to Google, that was 1894, so they're a few years late.
Well, you know what? It's coming again.
Better late than never. Oh, man. So definitely hit us up on that hashtag. Let's talk some pro wrestling. You can find us on Twitter at OD Parlay Hour. Our individual accounts are in the bio, so definitely hit us up. Let's talk a little Extreme Rules. Let's talk the year of Omega.
Let's not talk Extreme Rules.
Yes, let's talk Slammiversary. Let's talk NXT. Let us talk. Use that hashtag ODPH. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
2, 3, 4. Hey, this is Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling, and you're listening to the ODPH. I didn't mess it up. I thought I would. Right now, back to the guys.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and we're going to talk local minute. Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling is teasing something on their social media. Mm-hmm. So if you are in the 607 and you want to find out what he is teasing, you make sure that you are locked in and subscribed to everything that is Excite Wrestling. If you need to find links, head on over to the ODPH directory, go under the Friends of the ODPH link. It'll take you right to Excite Wrestling. Lock it in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, however you need to do it. Moose is promising something big.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'll all find out together later this week.
He's promising an answer to if this is the year of Omega.
He might have to. I know he's a big AEW guy, so he might need to translate this to me. Somebody needs to at OD Parlay Hour. But let's round these bases and take them home. Pad, lead us off.
Yeah, first I got some happy news, got some awesome news. For those of you who might be familiar with Bridger Walker, this is another ongoing story of awesomeness with this. For those of you who aren't, he is a 6-year-old boy in the United States who recently, within, I don't know when it was, last couple of weeks.
A couple weeks ago,
saved his younger sister from a dog attack by jumping in front and taking the full brunt of the attack from said dog. Ended up getting vicious attacks on his face and ended up needing 90 stitches to repair his face. He's a big Marvel Avengers fan, so his parents and family members had reached out to all of the Avengers actors. He's received messages from Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, also Tom Holland. I know Zachary Levi, who plays Shazam, has reached out to him and sent him some messages. I know Anne Hathaway has also sent messages. He's got some new hardware, though.
Ooh.
The folks over at World Boxing Council tweeted out a photo of Bridger holding a WBC championship.
Oh, that's dope.
And the caption on the photo reads, "And the new WBC champion of the world, Bridger, the bravest man on earth, Walker." So he's now an honorary WBC champ.
Kudos to that kid, man.
Top shelf.
That kid's got more stones than I do, because I get in the same situation. I don't know if I'd do it. I'll be honest.
At that age, I don't know either. I mean,
it's
it's a real top
wild.
shelf.
Top shelf, man. Top shelf. Kudos to you.
Yeah. Switching over to some baseball news with the ongoing upcoming season, I should say. Fans are wondering. I know people have been wondering, they going to pump in some noise here? It's going to be a little empty, because I know Yankees games, at least the exhibition ones, they haven't, and it's loud when you hear the ball pop. But it seems like they will be pumping in some sound, and they will be putting out an update to the MLB app and on their website where it will let fans remotely send cheers and jeers into empty stadiums. Yeah, so I guess the way this works is you hop on the website or the MLB app if you have that. You pick a game, and then there will be a way for you to you pick a team. So if you're watching Yankees, let's just say Yankees-Phillies, you can pick a team, and then if somebody does really well, you can send a cheer or an applause, and that'll affect the way they pump in some of the artificial noise. Or if you're watching the Houston Astros games, you know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
As the one account I follow on Twitter said, shaming the Astros is back on, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, anything you can let the Astros know they screwed up, I'm all for, so make it happen.
Yes, so that'll be interesting. I've got the MLB app on my phone, so I'm really, because they haven't put it out yet for these exhibition games. So come Thursday, I can't wait to see how this works. I'll definitely give it a try.
Yeah, you're going to definitely, maybe I'll have to do some live tweeting about that.
Yeah.
We'll have to do something for that.
Yeah.
Coach?
I've been hyping it, and I will continue to hype it. So if you're playing the Coach Drinking game, it is Premier Lacrosse League Talk Time. They kick off this Saturday, their inaugural game in their championship pool series that they'll be doing, so that not like, the other leagues where they're kind of just playing a typical regular season. They are doing it more Olympic style, if you will. They actually, I didn't realize this, the extent that they went for their medical. They had players test before they got to Utah for quarantine. They had players test again once they arrived in Utah. They are following, they actually went out and got third-party medical professionals to be handling this. So they're actually been consulting with the CDC and other medical advisories. The infectious control disease is also involved. So they are running protocols based on, even if you have so if you have a positive test, you're not able to join your team for 10 weeks or for 10 days until after quarantine. If you had an inconclusive test, you cannot arrive in Utah until after one positive test, 24 hours after the test results. So
wow.
pretty stringent, things, especially when you talk about the, not the volume of players, So they only had 2 tests come back positive out of the initial test, 2 inconclusive. So some of the teams, had been affected by these results. Do want to give a shout out to Jules Hedenberg, who is one of the arguably one of the best players in lacrosse right now. Unfortunately, unable and pretty big spokesperson for the Black Lives Matter movement for lacrosse, at least, being growing up that. During that time, during this time, he actually had COVID in June, went and got tested for the PLL quarantine. Turns out due to COVID, he actually has now developed a heart problem where high interval training can potentially lead to cardiac arrest. So so he is unfortunately unable to play right now due to the COVID still trying to run its course through his system. So hopefully best of the wishes to him and his family. Hopefully during this time he can get healthy and hopefully see him next season, because he was a big player on the Redwoods team. But the season is here. Players are healthy. They're definitely, the first game will be on NBC at 4:00. Again, lacrosse on national TV. I never would have thought that in my entire life I'd be seeing that. So it's a great time right now for sports. Obviously, basketball's coming back, baseball.
Yeah.
So, if you got nothing to do on Saturday at 4:00, it's there for you.
And definitely hit up at Coach Duffy 11 if you're watching.
Yeah, if you're watching it, I'll definitely. I mean, I'm a Redwoods fan, so I'll be watching it. I hate those goddamn whip snakes. Last year's championship game went to overtime with the whip snakes winning. So I'll be watching that. I will be forcing my kids to watch it. So we will. If you need to live tweet me, I will be there.
Yeah, so definitely hit him up and let's talk some lacrosse.
Sure, it's there. It's time. It's here. It's arrived. Everybody.
It's time.
Yeah, right. Get careful with that.
I was going to say, I don't want to get trademarked by Bruce Buffer, but it's a great segue to the UFC.
Yes, well done.
So, that being said, we had our third of 4 fights at Fight Island.
And what a night of fights it was.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. This past Saturday, July 18th, it was such a rocking card. It was actually crashing ESPN+. I was on Twitter. And
you're not the only one.
Yeah, so I am just saying for future note, like ESPN, if anybody can hear us and you have anything to do with the streaming service, we need to make sure this is fixed for the UFC fights, because when it's a big fight and people are watching, we're having issues.
Well, we had the same issue.
In my opinion,
we had the same issue with the Conor McGregor fight.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and this was no disrespect to any of the fighters on the card, in terms of like fan anticipation. This was not exactly as anticipated as Conor McGregor.
What I will say about the UFC during this time, and I mean, as somebody who during the Chuck Liddell Tito days was definitely like hardcore into it, and then once they kind of faded, kind of my fandom kind of faded a little bit too. But during this time, right now with everything going on, at first the UFC initially I couldn't watch without fans, but now that they've gone to smaller venues and and everything without anything on, the UFC's been must watch no matter what the fight is. You could put in 2 fledgling guys who are like 7 and 9 and with no knockouts. I would watch them go 3 rounds.
They've been putting on so many good cards, and I don't know if they've had to really condense cards down and get the best of the best, so to speak.
Right.
But ever since they went to the Apex in Vegas, they have been on this like amazing streak where they've gone from there to Fight Island.
And fights have been great.
And the fights have been amazing.
Yeah.
And this fight card was no different. We won't get into everyone that was on there. I think the 2 main events I definitely want to talk a little bit about.
I will real quick. There was 3 fights on this card that, obviously, wife and kids at home trying to watch the fights. The bathroom pulled me away. Potty breaks pulled me away. Maybe going to get a drink or something pulled me away. I came back to 3 different fights over. And I went in like the first round thinking, I won't miss much. Nope, they were done.
Yeah,
they were absolutely done quick. There was a lot of work going on, and the only thing really from the prelims that I think we just definitely have to mention was a Matrix-like duck.
Holy cow!
From one of the kicks, I think it was the Fizev fight.
I believe so.
Yeah, that one, ridiculous. You can find it, and that's not the first time he's done that.
No,
ESPN is uncovering all these extra fights he's been doing this Matrix-like duck on. It's absolutely crazy. But let's get into the co-main event first. Give some thoughts on that. So, Pad, you got us on that?
Yeah, so that was a middleweight matchup where Jack Hermanson defeated Kelvin Gastelum in the first round with a heel hook submission.
Yeah, this fight, Coach, you got some thoughts?
Yeah, they came out, swinging, and all of a sudden, it got to the ground, and the one guy, please, tried to get his leg out.
Kelvin
tried to get his leg out, but he turned the wrong way and he turned into him.
Yeah,
and the hook that he had to grab his heel and then pull him was like almost like when you watch an octopus or a snake, coil something up to bring it in to eat, because he grabbed right on that and just
torque. You know, I was watching with my girlfriend and then my brother-in-law and my sister at their place, and you know, my brother-in-law and I, when the submission happened, we're like, oh, and my sister just goes, wait, that's it? And we're like, yep, it's over.
Yeah. Gastelum got caught in it. He was looking pretty good in that fight until then, but once Hermanson got him to the ground and locked that leg in, he did not let go. And it's a huge win for him. I know Calvin took it pretty serious.
Yeah.
You know, he was very embarrassed by the performance. But it's one of those things in the MMA world. If you get caught and you make one minor mistake,
freak accidents like that happen.
You get caught with it.
I mean, that's the same thing that happened to Brock Lesnar versus Frank Mir. I mean, you cannot turn your back to your opponent when your leg is right next, you know, in between their hip and your arm. You know, you can't do that.
Say it is now the third loss in a row for Kelvin Gastelum.
I don't think he has anything to worry about getting cut, though.
Get a little nervous, but no worries.
Because if you look at who he's lost to, Pad.
In order, it is Israel Adesanya, Darren Till, and then Jack Hermanson.
So, Adesanya, your current middleweight champion. Darren Till, your potential number one contender, but we'll get into that. And Hermanson, I mean, who's a top-ranked opponent, too. It's not really going to hold him back. I think if he does lose another one, then maybe you might get question about that. But I don't think he has anything to worry about getting cut. I think, obviously, in those fights, the Adesanya one, you can argue, was a fight of the year candidate. So I'm not questioning that one too much. Hermanson can only go up the card after this performance. Gastelum, boy, I don't know who's next. I really don't. So we'll have to kind of wait and see about that. And then we get to the main event. Davison Figueiredo versus Joseph Benavidez for the vacant flyweight title. They originally fought earlier in the year, but Figueiredo did not make weight. So
got to drop that weight.
Yeah. So this time, though, he did. And, Pad, you got the results?
Yeah. Figueiredo defeated Joseph Benavidez in the first round with a rear naked choke submission.
Coach, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the first fight obviously ended with, had that unfortunate headbutt, that cut, it was a bad cut over the eye that wasn't caught. So you go into this and you think, oh, that match was fair, was fairly even up until that headbutt. This was just pure domination.
Yeah.
I mean, this was just surgical.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bad blood between Benavidez and Figueiredo going into this. Benavidez was vowing the win. And if you know anything about his career, though, he has arguably been the number 2 flyweight in the world behind Demetrius Johnson for, it feels like, forever. Right? And Benavidez has never gotten the belt. And it goes to show how good Demetrius Johnson is, in my opinion.
Right.
It's nothing away from Benavidez because he has literally beaten a who's who of flyweights.
I'll say currently in 35 professional matches, he is 28-7. Obviously, he has 2 losses to Figueiredo, and then before that, he lost to the likes of Sergio Pettis, Demetrius Johnson twice, and then Dominic Cruz twice.
Yeah, so when you lose to that kind of pedigree,
that's some tough losses.
So you can't really look at his career and say anything real bad about it. I know Twitter got real ugly with some of the comments after this fight against Benavidez.
When you talk shit and get hit.
Well, it was one of those situations where it's just like he couldn't win the big one again, and you have to give credit to Figueiredo because he landed that overhand right early in that fight, and I thought he knocked him out cold.
I think he was out.
He might have been.
I think he was out just for whatever reason.
That was early in the first, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was out. I
forget who, but one of the announcers said that he was out.
Yeah. And he looked out, and then the fact that Figueiredo got him in the rear naked choke, and Benavidez defended 4 times before ultimately getting knocked down again, and then Figueiredo just finished him off from there.
Figueiredo, the first couple times he tried the rear naked choke, didn't have it in all the way. Like, I know I was watching, and my brother-in-law thought he had it, and I'm like, no, it's on the chin. It's not underneath yet.
Yeah, because to make that move work, you have to lock it underneath, and he didn't. But that goes to show the experience of Benavidez, so you can't really fault him on that. He gave all he had, but at this stage...
I mean, to bounce back from that, punch, that's toughness. You know what I mean? You don't line up in the octagon against that, that little list of people that he lost to and not be tough as nails,
Yeah. I mean, like I say, a long-standing contender, arguably the number 2 guy for forever.
Like a decade.
Yeah, I would say behind Demetrius Johnson. So what's next for him, for Benavidez? I don't know, to be honest with you. I think I don't see him getting another title shot
Not
anytime soon.
no,
I mean, at his
no,
age, he's approaching 40. I know I want to say he's 37.
Looking it up.
Yeah.
35.
Okay.
That's tough.
He's obviously gone through some battles. I don't know if the UFC, he can make a run there. I think if he went to like Bellator maybe. But I don't want to see him leave the UFC. Like, that's the problem. For Figueiredo, though, he called out a certain somebody, and I would love to see this match. So I'm putting the karma out there. He called out Demetrius Johnson.
Please.
DJ's got to come home.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. DJ needs to come back to the flyweight division.
It's time.
It's time. Yeah, I mean, he needs to. It needs to happen. I know he's killing it over in one championship, and I will say that was arguably the dumbest move that Dana White
The most lopsided trade in sports history.
I understand why he did it. I just don't agree with it. And
It's more lopsided than when the Boston Celtics traded Paul Pierce to the Brooklyn Nets.
yeah, it was a bad deal. If they can somehow get DJ to come back and fight Figueiredo one night, I'd be marking out like a madman for it.
Even work out a deal with one championship to like, hey, can we borrow him for a night? Like, name your terms.
I think that could happen. Like, that's the thing about it. I think they could definitely do that.
Because obviously, if they did a trade before, they've got a working relationship.
Yeah, because I don't know who else you'd have Figueiredo fight. I know Henry Cejudo was throwing his name out there. I'm not paying any attention to it. I don't care. Cejudo has called out everybody from AEW to the UFC, depending on what your weight class is. I'm sorry, you said you retired and now you're trolling. I don't care. Good luck with your future endeavors. I'm sorry. I'm not motivated to hear it. So whatever Figueiredo does next, though, he's now arguably the scariest man in that division. They're going to have to start getting some bodies in front of him. I don't know who's next. I know, Pat, you're looking at the rankings right now.
Yeah, so they haven't even updated the rankings for that division yet because they don't have a champion listed. Figueiredo is listed number 1. Benavidez is listed number 2. You've got Brandon Moreno listed number 3. Alexander Pantoja is ranked number 4. 5 is Alex Perez. You've got Jussier Formiga listed at number 6. Askarov is number 7. Kai Kara France is listed at number 8.
Say that one 5 times fast.
No, thank you. Rogerio Bontorin is number 9, and then rounding out the top 10, you've got Matt Schnell.
Exactly.
I've never heard of any of them.
Yeah, that's who?
Uh-huh.
Well, that goes to show just the UFC has not done enough to promote that division, and that's a sad thing too because
that division bangs.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the problem is that like, the same thing with WWE. It's not the sexy thing. It's not these. Big stature, brolic guys. It's the little, 5'5", 130 pounds. Arguably, are they a jockey? Are they not?
Yeah.
That's not. That doesn't put butts in the seats.
Yeah, that's the problem. And then they don't do knockouts too. So,
but they hit.
They hit.
They hit hard.
Well, I was saying, anybody watch Figueiredo fight?
Yeah.
Enough said. So Dana's got a little question on what he wants to do next with him. Like I said, for me, go get DJ back and make that happen. Because that would be a big money fight. Mm-hmm. It absolutely would. But they have another fight card coming up this weekend that's going to take the attention. I don't know if Dana White's going to be there because I believe it's his birthday, so we'll say happy birthday to him.
This card is stacked.
Yeah.
Don't give a shit. You work on your birthday. You got a fight card. You planned it on your birthday. You go work.
But this fight card is stacked, though, to say
weak.
Well, it's got arguably like 4 main events.
It arguably does, so we'll break them down, and then I don't know if this is the last one for a while. I believe they're coming back to the States to fight the Apex.
It's the last one. It's the last one on Fight Island. The next one is a fight night with that is on August 1st. So no time off.
No, they'll definitely be going back to Fight Island because I believe that they have already said when Habib wants to fight, and obviously he just lost his father to COVID, and we send our condolences out to him. Whenever he wants to come back, Dana said he's not stripping him of the belt. The fight will happen at Fight Island with him and Justin Gaethje. There is no timetable for that now.
Uh-huh.
The other fight that was getting rumored to be announced for Fight Island was Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa, which, Coach, we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, literally, who tagged us in what?
I think it was
you?
Me.
Yeah, you tag us in the fact, Lacosta had tweeted, that the fight's happening, and Dana White shot that shit down like it was like World War II and it was a plane flying in a no-fly zone, man.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So, not to say that fight won't happen, but as of right now, that is not official.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, at first when I was like, no, it's not happening, I don't think I was making it clear, like, no, it's not happening right now. The contracts aren't signed. It could, but No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It could, but no.
because that fight, whenever that does happen, that will be over at Fight Island too. So they've already said that those are going to be two main events that are going to be held there. We don't have a timetable, which I'm going to say September, because August, last I heard, is still going to be Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier 3. That's at the Apex.
We'll say,
Yeah, they were running promos
Looking at the
for-
next
right.
couple of events, you've got the next fight night is at the UFC is on August 1st at the UFC at the Apex. Then you've got another one also at the I think everything is at the Apex through. Give me a couple clicks here looking on Wikipedia. The next event on Wikipedia that they have listed venue and city to be determined is a fight night in early September.
Okay. Which I think makes sense because I think they were depending on who they were going to get for international travel or not. So,
Right.
So, like I said, they have 1 or 2 spots they're going to be fighting in, but they're going to go out from Fight Island with a bang.
Good Lord.
This card is
Literally.
pretty well stacked. So, Pat, why don't you run down the big matches and let's talk about them.
Yeah, so a couple of big matches. You've got a matchup in the women's strawweight division between Carla Esparza and Marina Rodriguez.
This one should be a fun one. It's strawweight. I like Carla a lot in this one. Not down Rodriguez, though, pulling off the win. But I think this one's going to be a decision, and I think it's going to go Esparza's way.
I'm thinking the exact same thing.
I agree.
Right on. So going to the next one, Pat.
You've got a heavyweight matchup between Fabricio Verdum and Alexander Gustafsson.
Now, we have to note,
Oh.
Gustafsson is stepping up to heavyweight.
Oh.
He has left the light heavyweight division. And this is after
Interesting.
his retirement. He's now back.
Yeah, I thought when I heard that name, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that being said, he has a very tough task against Fabricio Verdum.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough first heavyweight fight.
So, Pat, who you got?
Well, it's interesting. Both fighters on 2-fight losing streaks, so someone's gonna break that losing streak. I think it's gonna be Verdum. No disrespect against Gustafsson, but he is, after all, if I scroll up a little bit here on his Wikipedia page, he is 33 years old. He's got a lot of fights behind him. I think it's gonna, and plus, a lot of times fighters first fight in a new division, it's kind of not the greatest.
Right.
I think it's gonna end up being Verdum.
Coach?
Yeah, Gustafsson looks so bad his last 2 fights, especially the last one, that it's tough to go against Verdum here.
I'll say I should know his last 2 fights. Anthony Smith, who submitted him in the 4th round, and then John Jones, who knocked him out.
For Gustafsson, this is going to be a really important fight for a lot of different reasons. One, obviously, getting back to the light heavyweight title, that's in the rearview mirror. I don't see him getting back there anytime soon. For heavyweight, he's going up against a well-known fighter in that weight class, a guy that on paper looks very much bigger than he does. Even if Gustafsson doesn't have to cut weight, I haven't seen any pictures lately. It's not to say that he hasn't been working out, but I think there's going to be a massive weight difference that I think might be too much for Gustafsson to overcome.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is, again, we've talked about it. It's difficult to fight. I mean, when you're used to fighting at 205 and fighting at a lighter weight, now an extra 10 to 15 pounds, you might be walking around in that, but you're not training the same way that you would be when you're cutting, you know?
No.
So I think this one is going to go Verdum's way. I would like to see what kind of fire Gustafsson has, though.
Yeah.
Because anytime you say you're retiring and then you go up a weight class or down a weight class, if you've already said you're retired, it's already like you mentally checked out. So let's see what Gustafsson we get.
Yep.
Next up.
This one for the old school fans, because Lord knows there are no title implications in this fight. It's a light heavyweight matchup between Shogun and Little Nog.
Oh, my God.
Mauricio Ruhua taking on Anthony Nogueira.
What year are we in?
That's a good question, because as we sit here recording, Shogun is currently 38 years old, and Little Nog is 44. This is, like I said, there is no title implications in this matchup. This is just for the old school fans.
When did they fight before? Like, I know
I will look it up.
I believe it was in Pride. So it's been quite a while. This one,
It hasn't been that long. Looks like Shogun's last fight was a split decision draw to Paul Craig at a UFC fight night back in November.
oh no! I mean when they fought each other.
Oh, when they fought each other.
Yeah, they fought each other before.
let me
So,
see.
like I said, this has been many years ago. No, Shogun has been more active than.
Yeah, you're right. Pride, June 26th of 2005, where it looks like Shogun got the unanimous decision.
So that being said, Nog is 44, I believe.
Oh, my God.
Yep, Little Nog is 44 years old.
like I say, if this was in a time machine and we went back to 2005,
Just turned 44. His birthday was back in June.
like I'd have a little more excitement about this.
This is, like I said, this is for old school fans.
I am an old school fan, so I'm just saying, why?
I'm just going to say this. If I've always wanted to see a double knockout in the UFC. This might be my chance.
The only thing you're guaranteed of this is these two guys will throw hands.
Dude, that is,
they will.
I mean, 44 fighting. That's so old.
Yeah.
What's the oldest? I mean, Silva was what, 40, or was he 38 still?
No, Silva's on the other side of 40 now.
Right, his last fight, was he just turning?
I think he just turned 40. I want to
don't
say
know, man.
the oldest fighter was
Looks like it was Randy.
Randy
Couture,
Couture.
45 in 4 months.
Yeah, but he
Couture,
was something else,
But
though.
yeah,
I mean,
like I said, but not everybody's Randy. Because I want
Right.
to say, there was a guy, oh God, I'm blanking on him too. The janitor was his nickname.
What's that?
And
What?
he fought John Jones. And he was like, at that point, he's like 40. He was in his early
But this
40s.
is like John when he was first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a different UFC, too. I mean,
it's a different UFC. And like I
but
say,
44 fighting now?
yeah, especially Little Nog has had some battles throughout the years. Like, I mean, he's a legendary career. This one, though, I'm going to give it to Shogun. This will be fun for old school fans, like Pad was saying, but
Yeah.
It's like when Clay Guida fights, you know, and everybody's like, oh, hey, you know, like it's a little throwback to that era.
I still will never figure out how him and Diego Sanchez never had a rematch. I will
Drop the ball.
I will. The time for that just was there, and they just never went on it.
Yeah.
But this one, Shogun.
I'm a double knockout. This, like, I've always wanted to see a double knockout in live on UFC. I think this is my best chance.
Whoever's hip survives.
Also true.
This could be, like I say, both fighters have got a lot of tread on the tires. So
Whoever makes it up the stairs, that's who wins.
I like Shogun in that.
Yeah.
I'll take him. I'll take him
Yeah.
for the double. I'll take him for the parlay on that one.
Yeah.
Now the main event.
In the middleweight division, you've got Robert Whitaker taking on Darren Till.
So Whitaker is coming back after some time off. I believe he was dealing with some family matters. I believe.
Yep.
The reason being escapes me, but I know it was a very personal one, and so that being said, he's been gone for a little bit. Darren Till has been the next big European fighter that the UFC has really been trying to push. Mm-hmm. This one, I always go against Robert Whitaker, not because I dislike him, because I actually do like him as a fighter. He's very sound. He's very technical. There's nothing real flashy about him.
Yeah.
So that being said, I am taking Whitaker in this one.
Okay.
Because for Darren Till, he's one punch away from getting a KO, but I have never seen a groundwork from him. I've never seen a submission from him.
Funny you say that. He has 2 submission wins.
Then I'm blanking on when those happen, because I have not personally seen them. So that could be, is it early in his career?
They weren't on television.
Okay, then
at least that we know of. One was against a gentleman by the name of Sergio Matias for Esparza Fighting Championship. That was back in November of 2014. And then another one was against Cristiano Marquezzati for Curbitabanos AMG Fight Champion. That was in November of 2013.
So, like I say, that being said, I got to go with Whitaker. Like I said, I know he's had some time off. I know he had some injuries, too. And like I said, I want to say if
last fight was in October of last year where he got knocked out by Stylebender.
Yeah, so like I said, that being said, I know he was coming off some, I want to say there was some family, like he had a family matter he had to go attend to, and there was an injury. Like, it's escaping me why as we're recording, but I'm not going to go research here for this. So that being said, like I said, Whitaker's my pick. Pat, who you got?
I'm going to go with Whitaker, too. Just you look at the record. He's got 20 wins, 5 losses. Like I said, lost his last fight to Adesanya, but before that, hadn't lost a fight since February of 2014 when he lost to Stephen Thompson. Had a string of wins against the likes of Yoel Romero, he beat twice, beat Jacare Souza, Derek Brunson, Uriah Hall, Brad Tavares, just a who's who in those divisions. And then you go on the flip side and you look at Darren Till. Won his last fight against Kelvin Gastelum back in November of last year, lost 2 fights in a row, one to Jorge Masvidal, another one to Tyron Woodley. But then he beat the likes of Stephen Thompson and Donald Cerrone.
Yeah, he knocked out Cerrone.
He knocked out Cerrone in the first round.
Yeah.
So
Somebody else did that too.
Yeah, hard to say, but gut decision. I'm going to go with Whitaker.
Yeah, I mean Masvidal and loss to Woodley. Those are two tough guys. You know, I mean, if you lose to them, you can accept that. You know, I mean, arguably two of the best fighters in the division. But you know, not really any names of a win. You know, I mean, so I'm gonna go Whitaker too.
Yeah, like I said, Whitaker, I think, is very sound. And like I say, he's coming off the injuries. And then, like I said, the family issue, you got to go handle it. And it was a very serious one. Like, I'm blanking on a reason why. There's no disrespect to it. I'm seriously blanking on why. But the fact is, he's back mentally and physically 100%. He's a very scary fighter at that middleweight division. So, and like I said, Darren Till is, to me, just a one-shot artist here. Like, I don't think he has all 5 skills that he needs for mixed martial arts. And if he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong. But I know he likes to stand there and throw hands, and Whitaker is not exactly the guy to do it because he'll take you down and submit you. So should be a fun fight this Saturday night. ESPN Plus, ESPN. Definitely check your local listings wherever you watch UFC action and say goodbye to Fight Island for a little bit because they're going to go out with a definite bang. So that being said, the music you heard on this episode of the ODPH podcast is that of Fair City Fire. They're friends from Austin, Texas. Brian Wolf is putting out more and more music every Friday on his Instagram page. So if you want to find out more about Fair City Fire, shout out to Robot, Second Suitor, Yard Party, Floodlands, and all the great music you hear on the ODPH. Well, stop on over to ochoduroparlayhour.com and check out the music section. You can find out all about all those great bands. And also, while you're there, swing on over to the ODPH directory, where we have links for friends of the show, such as Excite Wrestling and wherever Johnny Moose's big announcement is going to be this week. Tom from Off the Cuff Gaming, still doing Final Fantasy VII pad.
Oh, boy.
And has he earned your respect for the apology yet for Ratchet & Clank?
I'm sorry, did you say something?
Wow. Just got very, very cold in this room. And you can also find links to all the great podcasting groups that we are in. So shout out to Pod Nation, shout out to Legion Independent Podcast, shout out to Alternate Reality Radio, shout out to Hashtag 607 Podcast, and shout out to the aPODalypse community where we're doing the pod raids today. And it's Cross Atlantic Gaming that is there. So definitely check out the pod groups on Podchaser that we are in. You can find all those links on there. And you can also find out organizational links supporting Black Lives Matter, voter registration, and I actually have a new link up for something in the 607. The Luma Festival is doing a GoFundMe to raise funds to run again next year. Obviously, with COVID happening, they were not running this year. They have a GoFundMe to try building up funds to go in 2021. If you haven't seen it, definitely check out their social media. It's an amazing arts lights festival. So I have the link up there for the GoFundMe. So if you want to feel like supporting that great organization, go right ahead and do that.
Support local.
Absolutely. Support local whenever, wherever you are. And you can also check out Parlay Points, the complimentary blog section to the ODPH. All of that, plus links to our Twitch channel, which we are going to be doing some live streaming for San Diego Comic-Con this week. So hashtag 607 Podcast will be taking care of that. You can definitely head on over. Check it out. Rich and I will be doing that from 3 Fat Nerds Podcast. So twitch.tv/607 Podcast. Where else do you find out about everything that is the ODPH other than ochoduroparlayhour.com? That's all I got for this week. So for your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy.
Good night, and go watch lacrosse.
For the one and only Padawan J.
Go Yankees.
I'm your host, Ken M. Shout out to Rich Ron and hashtag Big Natty Cool Diesel. We're going to be doing some Twitch action this week. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. See you next time.